have an attorney? Listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions and tell you what your case is potentially worth. Pick up the phone, call now.
No matter what you drive, there's only one guarantee. It's gonna break down.
I had a sensor light up on my dashboard.
There was a popping noise.
The last thing I remember is just the engine cut out.
Your next breakdown could be anytime, anywhere, whether you've got the money to fix it or not.
It was a thermostat, $2,600.
Seat sensor, $1,400.
But if you've got endurance, you could never pay out of pocket for a car repair again, no matter how much it cost them to cover it.
In my first year with Endurance, they covered a $14,000 engine replacement.
It was like almost a $6,000 job. If I didn't have Endurance, I would have had to pay for that or just trash the whole car and start again.
If your car's out of warranty, a transmission can easily cost you $4,000.
And an engine? Over $7,000, if you're lucky.
With Endurance, those parts are covered.
The bad camera unit, $800 to repair a bad wheel bearing, over $1,000. A new steering rack, close to $3,000. Endurance covered it fully.
Plus, you pick the mechanic you trust to do the work.
It's a totally seamless process going to any certified mechanic. They submit the claim directly to Endurance. They get paid, and I'm out the door.
You trust us to do the work, and we trust Endurance to pay us direct.
And the best part, your rate stays locked in no matter how many claims you file.
If your car's under 20 years old, Endurance has you covered with unlimited miles. Plus, your plan includes 24/7 roadside assistance anywhere in the country.
So, who's gonna pay for your next breakdown? You?
Or Endurance.
Right now, you can get $300 off any plan, plus a year of elite benefits, a $2,000 value free, all backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. But you have to act now. Visit EnduranceWarranty.com or call 1-833-608-5583 for a free quote. That's 1-833-608-5583.
Welcome back. Coming up later today, Secretary of State Marco Rubio will be traveling to St. Kitts to take part in an annual conference of heads of government where he is expected to speak about U.S. foreign policy.
Also today, U.S. envoys are preparing for talks with Iran in Geneva aimed at limiting Iran's nuclear weapons development and working to avoid broader conflict in the region.
Also on the agenda is Geneva. Peace talks to hopefully bring an end to the Ukraine war. Newsmax will be following all of these stories closely throughout the day. So that means stay with us, folks. So this is awesome. You know, Marco Rubio's working really hard.
So hard. You see those memes where he basically is taking on every single role. I can't get enough of them. They're pretty funny.
You know, but the thing is that this is setting, he's still young.
Very young.
Right? Very vibrant.
So smart.
Sharp as a tack. And the thing is, he's proving that he can execute and continue to engage, and he can also handle domestic and foreign policy. Well, it sounds like somebody's going to be running in 2028, 2030, 2032. There's a bright future ahead for Secretary of State.
There is a bright future, and even President Trump has said that Marco Rubio has taught him how to negotiate and work on the world stage. So that's some high praise coming from President Trump. If you could learn something from Marco Rubio.
You're watching theDove TV, encouraging and informative for Salem, Portland, and the Willamette Valley. Seen on KWVT 17 and these Dove TV affiliates. Good morning. You're tuned to theDove, encouraging and informative, helping Oregon, Northern California, Idaho, and Nevada start the day with news and encouragement. This is Mornings on the Dove.
Well, good morning to you, and welcome to Mornings on the Dove. Happy Wednesday to you. Always a delight to be here. Jerry is still away this week, but Steve is up and at it early in Tucson, Arizona, and there he is live this morning. Good morning, buddy. How you doing?
I am doing great. What has happened in the last 24 hours has been pretty impressive.
Oh, we all got to bed a little late last night for a 2-hour State of the Union address.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, I was looking at the time. Think of the East Coast. That was even later for them.
Yeah.
And this was the longest State of the Union ever. So this thing was, you needed popcorn.
Well, it was pretty interesting. We got a lot of highlights on that coming up. Weather-wise, well, we could see a little bit of a change, but we still got a sprinkle going on out there this morning around the sea. A lot in the news, and primarily the State of the Union address. However, other things are popping up into the headlines. We'll highlight some of that for you. And a big story hit Southern Oregon yesterday, and I'll tell you about it a little bit later on. So that's coming up as well. What do you got?
Well, it's a very historic day, especially for people who like to collect guns, do some target shooting and hunting as well. This is a day in 1836, Samuel Colt made his mark. He patented the first practical revolving cylinder. Now, before that, of course, you had to, shoot one at a time and reload it and all that. This you could shoot not quite like a machine gun, but, the six-shooter and all the stuff, think of from the West. That happened on this date with multi-shot revolver in 1836. Also, there's only a couple things that are really, I think, very interesting. And so here you have, that was 1836. In 1862, 30 years after the gun was made, the first legal tender was passed by the U.S. It authorized the greenback to be put into circulation. This is the first flat paper money that was legal tender in the U.S. So what do we have? Notes from the bank and change.
Change.
Most likely. That was it. Yeah.
Yeah. They weren't wooden coins either.
Let's hope not. Yeah.
Well, somewhere in my things, I remember getting the announcement that Colt was no longer going to make their Colt revolver, the 22 Colt revolver.
Oh, really?
They were going to stop making them. And there was a rush to buy these things. And I ended up getting one, but friends of mine were buying as many as they could get, knowing that was going to be the last of them. So they didn't make the Colt 22 revolver anymore.
The Colt is a big name, one of the biggest. You think of Colt, Remington, you've got Winchester, all those names.
Yeah, all those names
come through the years.
All right, good stuff. All right, anything to eat today?
Yeah. Oh, you want to move right into that too?
Yeah.
Yes, I had that. I didn't realize you wanted that so quickly.
Well, it's only.
I think there is.
We got to have food to start the day, Steve.
We do need to have that. Let me look here. There's one thing that is kind of great that's happening. I have the slowest little Kindle you've ever seen. Okay, it is clam chowder day.
On a Wednesday?
What is better than a bowl of clam chowder?
Supposed to have that on a Friday, aren't you?
I don't know. Why Friday?
I know, I love it. I do.
Are you Catholic? Is that a meatless thing?
Well, that was kind of.
That works.
They kind of helped him out there with that, yeah.
Well, I like that clam chowder. I remember, and this was in an area where I think you went to school at San Luis Obispo.
Yep.
They had one of the best clam chowder places I've ever had, and when we go on vacation there, we'd always eat at that Carl's Seven Seas.
Oh.
It was terrific clam chowder. And it's also chocolate-covered nut day.
Oh.
So if you can have nuts, then you should celebrate with some chocolate-covered ones.
Almonds and peanuts.
Yeah. Oh, those are good, too. Anything chocolate-covered, let's face it.
All right. Well, good stuff. I like clam chowder. Good. Especially what's in one of those bread bowls.
Then it's almost like two meals in one, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And if you run out of clam chowder and you have too much bread, you put in more clam chowder. So it kind of keeps going.
Keep it going. All right, good morning to you. 4 minutes past the hour. Let's check in with Alvin Inman for the weather.
A look at our weather from Grange Co-op. With a quieter pattern settling in across Oregon and Northern California tomorrow. In Northern Oregon and Southern Washington, patchy morning frost and a slight chance of a lighter shower, then partly sunny with highs in the low 50s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Down the Willamette Valley, mostly sunny with highs around 50 for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene. In Central Oregon, a slight chance of early rain or snow, then mostly sunny with highs in the low to mid-40s in Prineville, Bend, and Sun River. Over in Boise, a chance of morning rain, then mostly sunny with highs in the mid-50s. Along the Oregon coast, a few morning showers, then clouds breaking in some sun and highs in the mid-50s for Coos Bay, Port Orford, Brookings, and Crescent City. In southern Oregon, a slight chance of a morning shower, then partly to mostly sunny with highs near the low 50s for Grants Pass, Medford, and Ashland. Partly sunny in Klamath Falls with a high in the upper 40s and a cold night dropping into the upper 20s. Into Northern California, partly sunny in Wairika with a high in the mid-50s, a slight chance of a morning shower, then partly to mostly cloudy with highs in the mid to upper 60s for Redding, Chico, and Sacramento. Across the Bay Area, morning fog, then partly to mostly sunny with highs in the mid-60s in Santa Rosa and Napa, mid-60s in San Francisco, and upper 60s in San Jose. It's a snapshot of your Wednesday weather from Grange Co-op.
All right, good morning to you. There's a little bit of a snapshot of the plaza in downtown Ashland this morning. You can see the wet streets, so there's still some light rain around, but a beautiful shot of really a nice place. Good places to eat down there, Steve.
I'll bet they can get clam chowder today somewhere.
I'm sure you can. All right. Good stuff.
Well, Dr. David Jeremiah has a thought. Remember we had Gutenberg Day? This is when the Gutenberg printing press was made. We had the anniversary of that. Well, think of Martin Luther. He's a guy who had a lot of influence, of course, in Christianity as we know it now. Dr. David Jeremiah recounts it when Luther discovered the amazing hope that he found really lies in the gospel.
Years later, when he was writing his own commentary on the book of Romans, Luther reiterated what he had learned. For God does not want to save us by our own righteousness, but by an extraneous righteousness, one that does not originate in ourselves, but comes to us from beyond ourselves, which does not arise on earth, but comes from heaven. Martin Luther discovered the righteousness of God and the incredible transaction that takes place on the cross. Ladies and gentlemen, when Jesus died on the cross, he took all of our sin upon himself and stood in our place. But that's not the end of the story. In exchange for our sin, he gave to us his righteousness, so that we can now stand before God, not because of anything we have done, but we are the receivers of the righteousness of God through salvation in Jesus Christ alone. And when that broke across Martin Luther's mind, and he began to see that all you can do to work your way to heaven is worthless, that the Bible is true when it says that our righteousnesses are as filthy rags before God, he began to understand the hope that is in the gospel, because that hope is not resident in the one who is seeking heaven. That hope is in God, who in heaven offers us his righteousness.
Beautiful, beautiful. Martin Luther, the big nail and the hammer and the door.
The Wittenberg door that you can still visit. I'd love to go there sometime.
Yeah, I'd like to see it myself. All right.
Thesis.
All right, good stuff. All right, 9 minutes past the hour. Let's take a look at some of the top stories, excuse me, on this Wednesday morning. Well, last night was the State of the Union address, by far the longest in history. And needless to say, it was full of fireworks and sparks and all kinds of things. And here's a little bit of the president being introduced, and as he's coming in, 72 Democrats did not show up during this for the speech, 2 of which are from Oregon. They had their own virtual town hall meeting. I don't know how many people watched that. But anyway, the president spoke last night and basically just delivered all kinds of things, talked about things. One of the big surprises is he was dealing with the subject of winning. So listen to this.
Our country is winning again. In fact, we're winning so much that we really don't know what to do about it. People are asking me, please, 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 Mr. President, we're winning too much. We can't take it anymore. We're not used to winning in our country. Until you came along, we're just always losing, but now we're winning too much. And I say, no, 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 you're going to win again. You're going to win big. You're going to win bigger than ever. And to prove that point, here with us tonight is a group of winners who just made the entire nation proud. The men's gold medal Olympic hockey team. Come on in.
Wow, that was quite a moment.
What a moment.
It was quite a moment. I knew that they were going to be there, but I didn't know how they were going to present them because at the beginning, the cameras were all over the place, and you were looking for them, but you couldn't see them. And then he introduces them to walk in. And then the goalie gets an extra special award, and then I guess the rest of the team will get an award sometime this week while they're there. But that was pretty cool the way they handled that.
And it's a type of thing where even if you were a Democrat, you've got to cheer for that. That is America. That's not a political thing. And it just happened within the last 48 hours.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was really cool. And the Democrats, most did stand for that. Some didn't, but most did. So that was pretty cool. Well, what's happening with the Epstein case these days?
Well, it's interesting. You might remember Virginia Giuffre. She's one who says she was a victim of Jeffrey Epstein. She wrote a book, and then she also, unfortunately, took her own life. I mean, this has had a huge impact on the whole family. Well, her brother, Sky Roberts, yesterday urged Congress to release the Jeffrey Epstein files completely.
Standing with members of Congress and with survivors across the nation and across the world. Because Virginia's story is the story so many survivors know too well. A mountain of obstacles that seem impossible to climb. Pain so deep, it doesn't fit into words. And a system that too often makes the survivor carry the burden instead of the perpetrator. But I am here to say proudly and with absolute conviction that what Virginia did for this world will not be in vain. She may have left this earth, but her soul is still here. It lives in every survivor who decides to speak. It lives in every victim who is still finding their voice.
The pain of the family still being seen.
This is an amazing story, and her story is an amazing one. The pressure mounted so much, and the Epstein files continue to get bounced around. And of course, her brother, they're calling for the full release. I did see Nancy Pelosi last night in the chamber, and she had a sign that said "Release all the files." She was wearing a little badge that said "Release all the files."
Yeah, I saw a few of those buttons. Yeah.
What we're seeing from all of this now is that people who are high up in corporate life, but probably not very well known, are leaving their positions because these files are slowly coming out. And 3 million now have been released to Congress. They can go in and read them for themselves. I don't know why this thing is dragging out the way it is. I don't know why everything's not on the table. Do you have any idea from your thinking?
Well, the only thing I can think of is that there may be some innocent people who they don't want to have incriminated in some way by these. But also, the Democrats I know are thinking, well, Donald Trump must have much more to do with the Epstein files because he knew Epstein decades ago. Trump is saying, I haven't been in touch with the guy for a long time. So there's this kind of gotcha thing saying we want him because we want to tie something on the president. But I think a lot of it has to do with people who were victims of Jeffrey Epstein, and Pam Bondi is cautious about releasing their names because now they'll have to relive that publicly and all the rest. So that may be a part of all of that.
Well, we'll see. Apparently files are being released in kind of unredacted files are being released in a redacted area. How about that? So members of Congress can go into various rooms, I guess, and read this stuff. So anyway, that's still out there. And right in your own backyard, what's happening with Nancy Guthrie's case?
Well, we do kind of have something new there. Of course, it's been over 4 weeks since Nancy Guthrie was found missing. We don't know what happened to her. She's the daughter, of course, of Savannah Guthrie, who was a TV show host and all. Well, now the reward has been raised to $1 million, but Savannah took to the social media saying that she now admits her mother may not be alive.
We are blowing on the embers of hope. we also know that she may be lost. She may already be gone.
And that's the first time that they have finally said, you know what, we do have hope, but there's a reality that's setting in as well after more than 4 weeks.
Strange case all the way around. Given today's ability to investigate and find things, that somehow this case is just day by day seemingly going cold. And where is that from you? Where is that location from you?
Oh, it's only probably about 2.5 miles, 3 miles maybe.
Really?
It's not that far. It's in the kind of center of Tucson. If you think of city, in the foothills area, so it's just slightly north. Technically, it's in the county, but you know how cities and counties kind of work. It's all the city itself. But some people have been asking, why is this case taking so much attention? I think for 2 reasons. First of all, Savannah Guthrie is a known host on the network. Okay, and it's her mother. But also, it was reminded to me that there are not that many people who have actually been taken, and you don't hear anything about why they've been kidnapped. And that seems to be the case. And so it's not like every day you hear of a kidnapping that has no suspects, no ransom. There were kind of 2 ransom type things, but they found those to be faulty and fake. We just have no reason why anyone would do this. There's no motivation. So it's all kind of weird, and that's why it's taken the publicity it has.
Wow. All right, we'll keep an eye on it. Well, those are some of the top stories on this Wednesday morning. We'll take a quick, what do we have going today? What do you have?
Clam Chowder Day.
Oh, Clam Chowder Day.
How do you forget that?
I don't know. We'll be right back.
Since 1934, Grange Co-op has been more than just a store. We've been a cornerstone of our community, owned by people like you. We proudly offer top-quality farm and ranch supplies, including our own Rogue feed, as well as workwear, Western apparel, garden essentials, and pet care products. By signing up as a Grange Rewards customer, you not only enjoy exclusive benefits like special offers and 1% back on most purchases, but you also become part of something bigger, a cooperative that you own and help shape. Join Grange Rewards today.
The Pregnancy Center in Medford is a place of hope, providing free pregnancy testing, ultrasounds, options counseling, and support to help women make informed, empowered choices. The Pregnancy Center is growing, hiring registered nurses to join our compassionate team. Work in a supportive environment where you can truly make a difference. No ultrasound experience? No problem. We'll train you in limited ultrasonography, a valuable new skill set for your career. To learn more, visit thepregnancycenter.us. Thepregnancycenter.us.
Wednesday. Worship leader Lizzie Morgan under attack.
Where God has gifted me is also where the enemy will attack.
And ready to battle.
There are some things that you just have to fight. And I love a good fight because I know who's fighting with me.
Her greatest weapon.
And you can use it. You don't have to be able to sing to use it.
Watch the 700 Club Wednesday morning at 11 on the Dove TV.
The threat of wildfire poses a growing risk to Oregonians. You can prepare now by taking 3 important steps. Create a home inventory, make copies of important financial records, and contact your insurance company to make sure you have the right amounts and types of home insurance coverage. Be wildfire ready by being insurance ready. Visit dfr.oregon.gov/prepare now to learn how.
All right, welcome back. And me and Steve, there's Steve there this morning from Tucson, Arizona. Got a lot going on. Well, this is a big story that hit yesterday. Perhaps a lot of people in our own backyard know this, but if you don't, you're going to hear it for the first time. And that is the Olsrud family, which has owned the Medford-based stores of Sherm's Market and Thunderbird Market, have announced they are now for sale.
Wow.
And this is a big deal. They've been in here in Southern Oregon since 1967. It was started by Sherm himself, and then they went on, and for decades they had the Thunderbird Market, and of course the Sherm's Market. The Biddle Road ran as Thunderbird until the 80s, and then it became Sherm's Food for Less. And then, of course, the other one on the other side of town is Sherm's, and then they have a store up in Roseburg. But anyway, the family has really, and then it also includes their distribution center. Well, Sherm passed away several years ago, and then his wife just recently, late last year. And the family now has come to the conclusion it's time to sell the business. This is a big deal for Southern Oregon. This family and their blessing of this community is unlike anything we've ever seen. They've given and given and given. They are the backbone of the community in so many ways, and supporting 4-H, FFA, and other forms. And just recently, I'd say recently, 2022, the family gave $12 million to the Asante Foundation for its largest project ever, and that will be called the Olsrud Women's and Children's Hospital, and to get that started there on Cardinal. So anyway, this is big news. Don't know all the reasoning behind this and what maybe have brought this to the point, but this hit the news the last day or so, late yesterday. And believe me, it's going to be quite the deal. Now, what's interesting about Sherm's Thunderbirds and the whole family is a lot of their employees have been with them from the very beginning. They have had very little turnover. Their employees really are kind of like the heart and the backbone of everything that's been there for years. So anyway, it's a Southern Oregon icon now up for sale. Who knows who will buy it? I don't know if it'll include just the business. Will it include real estate? Who knows? You know, those deals can get a little complex, but we'll see what happens. But they are now officially up for sale.
Well, that's amazing. You know, for years I would cover when the donation of food that would be brought to the food bank.
Yeah.
And we would wait for the Sherm's tractor trailer rig to come up with the trailer and all the food they had there. And on several occasions, Sherm was there, just kind of overseeing it, making sure they got the food and all of that stuff. So it was a huge donation, and hopefully it'll continue down the line for the food bank in giving all sorts of peanut butter and other supplies and so on that people need who are in the low income category. So it was huge. And that was just, as you mentioned, that was just one small little thing, but it happened every year. And it was always a big deal to see that big truck come in, backing in to unload.
Well, they would support food access with 20,000 pounds of food almost annually. And the only thing I can say is that I believe that their generosity, their benevolence to the community is perhaps the key to their success, not to mention the prices, but they just figured it out. They were great marketers. They knew what they were doing, and hopefully that tradition will continue. And who knows? We'll keep you posted if more comes of this as to whether or not a buyer emerges, but this is going to be, this is a big deal for us.
You know, there's another story, too, that if you walk by, like, the potato chip counter, you would see more potato chips from potato chips you've never even heard of. And I asked, I don't know who it was, I said, what's the deal here? I mean, I've never seen these kinds of, you know, Libyan salsa potato chips or something. It was unusual. And they said there's a policy that if you told them that you wanted this kind of potato chip, they would order it. So you ended up with more product lines than you would find anywhere else. You wouldn't just get Lay's or Ruffles. You'd get stuff you've never even heard of that might be wonderful. And I don't mind potato chips. Sorry,
none of us
AFK
do. Excuse me. The other one is you could go to the Jackson County Fair and you could watch these young 4-Hers and FFA people show their animals, the swine or the beef or the sheep. And these young kids and, you know, in those clubs. I was a 4-H'er, so you'd take your sheep out and you'd groom it all up, and then you would have 2 classes where you would show it. You would have a showmanship class, and that's where you would be able to show your animal in a professional way, and the animal was groomed in a professional way. And then the other one is you bring it back in on the last day and you put it in the ring to be bought. And Sherm would buy those animals, okay?
Oh, really?
And about 3 weeks later, you could see the young 4-H'er with their little pig or their little sheep or their beef picture on the wall in the meat department, and there was their little animal project now in the
barbecue
in the meat counter. So it was kind of a mixed thing, but they really honored these kids for their project. But you could go buy, you know, the little lamb the next 2 weeks later at Sherm's.
The circle of life, all within the meat department.
Yeah, there you go. All right, let's take a look at the satellite image. Here's what's happening on the weather scene out there, and you can see this. It's starting to thin out a little bit. And maybe some scattered showers and sprinkles, mild temperatures out there this morning. I mean, we're looking at 50 degrees right here at the airport this morning. So it'll kind of thin out a little bit before we see any more. So you can see how that's moving from California and takes in the southern part of Oregon, pretty much thinning out. So there you go.
Yeah, terrific. A little drying is a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, you may have seen Mike Huckabee doing some interviews lately. We aired one the other day where he was talking with Tucker Carlson, and this might be a side issue, but kind of interesting. Mike Huckabee right now is the U.S. ambassador to Israel, and Perry, I know a few years ago you interviewed him. What was the reason? It was at Franklin Graham's?
No, he came. He was going to be the pro-life speaker up at Bethel Church, and you and I went up there and interviewed him.
Yeah, well, you interviewed him. I was just doing the grunt camera work stuff. So yeah. So it was nice to meet him. What a nice guy, really. Now he's the U.S. ambassador to Israel after being governor of
Arkansas.
Right? Yeah. Well, he joined. If you've ever seen it on News Nation, it's called Batya. That's the name of the show. And he wanted to give his take on some claims you may have heard of that journalist and former Fox News host Tucker Carlson apparently was detained and had his passport confiscated at an airport in Israel.
No, it didn't. I'm not sure if Tucker would know the difference between a massage and a mugging, because what happened was his passport wasn't confiscated. If you go to a foreign country, they take your passport and they look at it. Now, he was in an executive, very high-end VIP lounge in which you can go and sit down and have an array of snacks and all kinds of choices of beverages and very nice furniture. And they will take your passport and they will go do the passport check for you. And then they ask questions, which they ask of everyone going in or out of Israel. I have a diplomatic passport and a diplomatic visa, and they ask me those questions as well. It's hardly an interrogation. There were no hot lights. There were no electrical cords being strapped across his back. It was the same treatment that anyone gets. And one of the things that he was able to receive was these nice snacks in a comfortable chair. When the video surfaced, and it was the security video showing him going through this terrible ordeal, I don't know how he made it, it showed that he was hugging the airport employees and taking cell phone pictures with them. So if that's torture, my gosh, I'd say that he'd have a hard time if it ever got really, really intense and he actually got arrested with handcuffs and, a baton beating. None of that happened.
So
he was only in Israel. He was only in Israel for like maybe 3 hours.
That's, let's see, snacks and drinks. That's the kind of detainment I think I'd like to have. So maybe that'll happen when we go to Israel.
In a VIP lounge?
And in a VIP lounge.
Well, I don't know what's happened to Tucker Carlson. This is really a sad turning of a person who at one time was the strongest voice that Fox had. And something happened at Fox. I don't know what it was. Could have been a leadership change. I know there was a change between the dad and the sons and all this and that. But he was the most popular guy, and they let him go. And then he starts his own podcast thing. And up until recently, we thought he was a very strong conservative in so many ways, but he's become anti-Semitic, and you got to ask yourself, what happened to this guy? What snapped, you know? But now he's basically saying, what the Ambassador Huckabee was saying there is, Tucker, you're lying.
This didn't happen.
This didn't happen. Yeah.
Or however the news got out was incorrect.
Yeah.
However that worked out.
Well, listen, I'm going to take a quick break, or we are. Steve, you go to your executive lounge. I'll go to my executive lounge, and I'll see you back here in about 2 minutes, okay?
I'll get some snacks for you.
Okay, there you go.
Since 1934, Grange Co-op has been more than just a store. We've been a cornerstone of our community, owned by people like you. We proudly offer top-quality farm and ranch supplies, including our own Rogue feed, as well as workwear, Western apparel, garden essentials, and pet care products. By signing up as a Grange Rewards customer, you not only enjoy exclusive benefits like special offers and 1% back on most purchases, but you also become part of something bigger, a cooperative that you own and help shape. Join Grange Rewards today.
Welcome to Rise Direct Primary Care. Imagine a healthcare experience where you're known by name, cared for like family, and treated with compassion. How is that possible? With an affordable, flat monthly membership, you receive unlimited primary care and minor urgent care visits. No insurance needed. At Rise Direct Primary Care, we offer a friendly, affordable healthcare experience where you get a whole hour with your provider. Located in Central Medford and accessible by phone or text, we can typically get you in the same or next day. We prescribe urgent care medications directly from our office, saving you a trip and wait time at the pharmacy when you'd rather be at home getting better. Personalized medical care with a human touch. Rise Direct Primary Care is all about healing the sick with compassion and keeping the healthy healthy. Rise Direct Primary Care. We're here for you. Visit risehealthdpc.com or call or text us 541-827-8603. 541-827-8603.
Hi, I'm the SOS Alarm guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Breakfast served daily until 2 p.m. Breakfast burritos, biscuits and gravy, skillets, omelets, and more. Sweet Tea Express. Don't get caught hungry.
All right, welcome back. It's 33 minutes past the hour. Steve John. Oh.
I just got back from my executive lounge.
Hold that up.
I've got coffee. And remember when you used to get Biscoff on airlines?
I was just going to say, I got that on Alaska Airlines the other day.
Yeah, I got this from Tucker Carlson.
Oh, did you? Okay.
We were both in the executive lounge when we were in Israel, and I just took some Biscoff. And
all right, good stuff. All right.
Actually, that's about as truthful as him being detained.
Yeah.
It never happened.
It never happened. All right, good morning to you. Well, listen, last night was the State of the Union address. There was something about the State of the Union address that was interesting. Did you notice the president did not talk about any kind of attack plans on Iran, but he did talk about Iran. And he didn't say anything about the Russia-Ukraine conflict. He kind of left those two military things out of the picture last night, and probably rightfully so. That's high classified information. Yeah. But in the meantime, the protests inside Iran are really beginning to grow again. This is a citizen pushback, and it's spreading inside. And so the president weighs whether a launch on a military strike is imminent. Let's check in with CBN News and find out what they found out.
Anti-government protests are rising again inside Iran. University students are rallying on campuses, encouraged by a message of hope through a mass text they all received.
Meanwhile, as President Trump considers launching a military strike, he's defending his top general. CBN Middle East correspondent Paul Petit has the latest from Jerusalem.
Protests are growing louder in Iran.
For the third straight day, students are defying the regime, this time at the all-female Al-Zahra University. Students chanted in Farsi, saying for each person killed, 1,000 stand behind them. The demonstrations follow memorials marking 40 days since the government cracked down on anti-government protesters, killing tens of thousands. Iran State News Agency reports similar protests erupted at 5 universities across the capital since Saturday. Multiple Middle East news outlets reported that Iranian anti-regime protesters received a mass text in Farsi saying President Trump is a, quote, man of action, wait and see. The anonymous message comes as the president weighs whether to strike Iran after issuing a 10-day ultimatum last Thursday. Posting on Truth Social Monday, Trump warned, if we don't make a deal, it will be a very bad day for that country and, very sadly, its people. In the same post, Trump denied reports that the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff is against military action. Calling the reports about General Daniel Kaine fake news, Trump posted that he only knows one thing, how to win, and, if he is told to do so, he will be leading the pack. But according to the Wall Street Journal, General Kaine warned Trump that a prolonged conflict could incur significant cost to U.S. forces and national stockpiles. Trump responded, saying, General Kaine, like all of us, would like not to see war. But if a decision is made on going against Iran at a military level, it is his opinion that it will be something easily won. In Jerusalem, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu addressed the Knesset Monday, telling members that Israel is ready.
No one knows what the future holds. We are vigilant. We are prepared for any scenario. I passed on and clarified to the regime of the Ayatollahs that if they make perhaps the gravest mistake in their history and attack the state of Israel, we will respond with a force they cannot even imagine.
Iran responded with warnings of its own.
Any state would react to an act of aggression as part of its inherent right of self-defense ferociously. So that's what we would do.
Another round of talks are confirmed to begin Thursday in Geneva, according to Oman's foreign minister and negotiation mediator, posting that there is a positive push to go the extra mile towards finalizing the deal. Paul Petit, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Well, we'll see how these negotiations go. It's within 48 hours we'll know one way or the other. Let's continue to pray for the people of Iran. They do not deserve this theocracy that is quite clearly trying to kill them. Anyone who protests against them is subject to execution. The mass killings that happen on the streets as the army was unleashed on their own population. These things are horrific to imagine, but that's what happened within Iran. And this is something that, in my opinion, means they no longer have the right to govern. And the international community needs to be allied on this, that no, we can't have a terrorist sponsor, we can't have a terrorist state, we can't have a theocracy that murders their own people. That should not exist in the modern world. And we'll see what happens, but please continue to pray.
That's the bottom line. That's what's happening. The next couple of days are crucial across the line, and it's easy for us to armchair this, but pray that the citizens who are standing up for their rights are protected. All right, let's check out the weather with Alvin and see what's up on the West Coast here.
A look at our weather from Grange Co-op. With a quieter pattern settling in across Oregon and Northern California tomorrow. In Northern Oregon and Southern Washington, patchy morning frost and a slight chance of a lighter shower, then partly sunny with highs in the low 50s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Down the Willamette Valley, mostly sunny with highs around 50 for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene. In Central Oregon, a slight chance of early rain or snow, then mostly sunny with highs in the low to mid-40s in Prineville, Bend, and Sun River. Over in Boise, a chance of morning rain, then mostly sunny with highs in the mid-50s. Along the Oregon coast, a few morning showers, then clouds breaking in, some sun and highs in the mid-50s for Coos Bay, Port Orford, Brookings, and Crescent City. In southern Oregon, a slight chance of a morning shower, then partly to mostly sunny with highs near the low 50s for Grants Pass, Medford, and Ashland. Partly sunny in Klamath Falls with a high in the upper 40s and a cold night dropping into the upper 20s. Into Northern California, partly sunny in Wairika with a high in the mid-50s, a slight chance of a morning shower, then partly to mostly cloudy with highs in the mid to upper 60s for Redding, Chico, and Sacramento. Across the Bay Area, morning fog, then partly to mostly sunny with highs in the mid-60s in Santa Rosa and Napa, mid-60s in San Francisco, and upper 60s in San Jose. It's a snapshot of your Wednesday weather from Grange Co-op.
Little shot of downtown, downtown Ashland this morning. That's at the plaza. Still some light rain around in our backyard, but nonetheless, beautiful shot there in Ashland this morning.
Yeah, it looks like a Hollywood set, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
It really does. You could film a movie down there this morning because there's nobody there.
Yeah, you go,
cars and that kind of thing.
You know, you can go there now and get a parking place.
That's true. Wait 2 or 3 hours and that may be tough. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You know, I don't know. Have you been hearing much in the news about the royal family in England? I mean, they've got some problems, of course.
I feel
obvious.
so sorry for the monarchy right now.
Well, you have Prince William, who doesn't seem to be getting along very well with Queen Camilla. I don't know if you've seen some of those reports, but he's kind of taking a very much a leadership role because he realized he's going to be the next king. And Camilla, it sounds like, from what I've seen, and this isn't from Tucker Carlson, so it's probably true, she's trying to bring in some members of her family into kind of the inner circle. And William is saying, no, this isn't going to happen. So there's been, some of this intrigue and all that. Well, let's go back in history when King Charles was Prince Charles. And I don't even remember this, but this is back in 1975. He made a historic ice dive. This is something that I've wondered, why do people like to go into icy waters of their own volition? I don't know. I'll stay on the beach there. But he did it. It was a trip to the Canadian Arctic. And this is a clip from the Royal Family YouTube page where he talks about this dive he made back in 1975.
Many of the things that you did must have given your security detail a headache or two, and definitely the one of those I think is going to most take people by surprise is you diving under the ice.
Yes, that I vividly remembered. But I'm afraid I've always tended to live life dangerously.
Well, yes.
Prince Charles learned to scuba dive in the Royal Navy, but had never previously done a dive in the Arctic.
Problem was, it took hours to get into this suit, and then you wonder where the leaks are going to be, because it actually gets extremely cold around. Have you done it?
Yes, yeah. And we will be aiming to redo what you did as well, and even now it's still something that puts your heart in your mouth.
Yeah.
How was it when you actually sat on that ice ledge at the beginning? How did it feel that moment before plunging in?
Well, take a deep breath and try. It's the only answer I found.
There was no underwater cameraman to film the Prince's dive in 1975, but we've been given access to photos in the King's private collection.
There are images here of you actually under the ice, and this is almost the definition of anxiety for most people, just that sense of claustrophobia, of not being able to get out, of the ice over your head. I mean, wasn't that intimidating?
Well, slightly. So you don't quite know what to expect till you get under there. The problem with diving like this is getting your ballast right. And even though I had these buttons to press, which either inflate you or deflate you, it didn't make any difference at all, because Joe McInnes went down to the bottom, which you could see. This is so clear, the water, incredible. And he kept going like this. And I was literally bobbing up against the underside of the ice. And whenever I did up, I went straight back up again. But no, it was a fascinating experience. I wouldn't have missed it, really.
One picture here that I'd love you to tell us about.
Isn't that a bowler hat?
That is a bowler hat.
That's right, yes. Well, he has some marks. Anyway, I thought it'd be rather fun coming back up with the hat on. And I thought I'd chance to fool around.
Do you know what? We have the evidence of that. Can I show you?
Yes, yes, yes.
So this is you coming up to the surface with Joe.
With a rather collapsed looking boat.
Yes.
I blew the thing up. See how far it would go.
Yes, there is a slight air of the Teletubby about that, if you don't mind me saying.
Tell us how it was. It was splendid. It's very, very interesting indeed, I must say. Bloody cold. What? That's happened to. Well, I tell you, we put the air in here, you see, and if you now do an amazing...
Well, he's got a sense of humor that we don't normally see.
No.
He was in his mid-20s at that point.
Well, that's going to say that's when he was young and funny.
I think as king, you probably have to guard yourself a little more. But, you know, he seems like a nice guy. I'd like to sit down with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea and talk to him.
Tea and biscuits.
That would work. Scones, maybe. Or as they say over there, scones.
Yeah. Well, biscuits are cookies over there.
That's
or cookies or biscuits or whatever. All right. Well, Charles Spurgeon, not quite as young as King Charles. Anyway, tells us how to be true followers of Christ. And in his wonderful work, I don't know if you've ever read this book. I loaned mine out and never got it back, so I need to buy another one, called Morning and Evenings. And here's what he had to say.
Take up the cross and follow me. Mark 10, verse 21. You have not the making of your own cross, although unbelief is a master carpenter at cross making. Neither are you permitted to choose your own cross, although self-will would fain be Lord and Master. But your cross is prepared and appointed for you by divine love, and you are cheerfully to accept it. You are to take up the cross as your chosen badge and burden, and not to stand caviling at it. This night, Jesus bids you submit your shoulder to his easy yoke. Do not kick at it in petulance, or trample on it in vainglory, or fall under it in despair, or run away from it in fear, but take it up like a true follower of Jesus. Jesus was a cross-bearer. He led the way in the path of sorrow. Surely you could not desire a better guide. And if he carried a cross, what nobler burden would you desire? The Via Crucis is the way of safety. Fear not to tread its thorny paths. Beloved, the cross is not made of feathers or lined with velvet. It is heavy and galling to disobedient shoulders. But it is not an iron cross. Though your fears have painted it with iron colors, it is a wooden cross, and a man can carry it, for the man of sorrows tried the load. Take up your cross, and by the power of the Spirit of God, you will soon be so in love with it that, like Moses, you would not exchange the reproach of Christ for all the treasures of Egypt. Remember that Jesus carried it, and it will smell sweetly. Remember that it will soon be followed by the crown, and the thought of the coming weight of glory will greatly lighten the present heaviness of trouble. The Lord help you to bow your spirit in submission to the divine will before you fall asleep tonight, that waking with tomorrow's sun, you may go forth to the day's cross with the holy and submissive spirit which becomes a follower of the crucified.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Is your love, your love. That's all I have to give. Your love is in...
Fish Lake Resort has everything you need to make fun memories and traditions all winter long. Join us every Saturday night for prime rib dinner. Explore our scenic winter trails. Enjoy some great fishing, or spend all day playing in the snow, and then settle in for a cozy night in one of our warm winter cabins. Visit fishlakeresort.net today to plan your visit.
Stewardship begins with the knowledge that nothing belongs to us, but everything belongs to the Lord. This helps us to run a business not in the fear of lack, but in the assurance of His care and provision. Such a perspective eliminates the drive to sell and replaces it with a heart that says serve. This begins with serving our clients and coworkers with integrity and genuine care. That's why at Kelly's, it's automotive service with a heart for God, and treating others as we ourselves would want to be treated. Our promise is to never sell our clients anything we don't believe they need. Another is to do all we can to meet other needs, such as shuttle service and loaner cars, or taking the time to really listen, even at times praying with our customers. Sometimes this means sacrifice, going above and beyond. But that's why I work for Kelly's Automotive Service, honoring God while serving people with honesty and integrity.
The Lennox iComfort S30 thermostat can sense changes in your environment. It even knows when you come and go. So now your home's most important system is also the smartest.
Metal Masters can give you the smartest home comfort system available. It knows when you're away and adjusts when allergens and humidity get uncomfortable. Trust Metal Masters to provide perfect air for your family.
Lennox. Air is life. Make it perfect.
Welcome back. 9 minutes before the top of the hour. Stephen Perry with you this morning. And I had Tom Del Picaro on the program yesterday. Tom and I go back. We actually have some similarity. He was chairman of California, Republican chairman of the state of California. And, of course, I was a past chairman of the state of Oregon. So we commiserate once in a while. But I did ask him about the gubernatorial race down there and what it looks like from his perspective. And is there a red path forward for a Republican governor? And here's what he had to say.
Well, full disclosure, I have a PAC called electionfairness.com. We're going to be doing an independent expenditure on behalf of Steve Hilton. The way I see the race today is the Democrats are very much divided. They have 7 or 8 candidates. They just had their convention. None of them got the endorsement. Eric Swalwell probably had the most support. His problem is the law requires that he have been a California resident for the last 5 years. He lives in Maryland, or at least that's what he told his lender, that his primary residence was in Maryland. You know how that goes. So we're going to have to see how that plays out legally, but they're very divided. There are 2 prominent Republicans, Chad Bianco and Steve Hilton. Steve Hilton's been raising the most money among Republicans. And if you look at most of the independent polling, he seems to be doing well, better than Bianco. So in the immortal words of somebody, stay tuned, because this hasn't sorted itself out and the primaries in June. Remember that we have this ridiculous primary system where the top 2 finishers, all candidates, are on the ballot in June on one ballot. All the Democrats, all the Republicans, there'll probably be 30, and the top 2 of them go to November. So the question is, does a Republican get in that top 2? If the Democrats remain divided, then there's a very good chance a Republican could get into that top 2. It's very possible that the unions will finally decide on one candidate, even though they don't like any of them currently, and put all their money behind them, and then we'll see what the Republicans do.
So do you remember that? That's how California's run in June. They're in their primary. Now, let me just say as a quick note here, this is why you don't want open primaries, because it ends up in a mess like this where you have a supermajority state like California, like we have here in Oregon. So the top 2 contenders, all the people, independents, Democrats, Republicans, will be on the ballot. The top 2 will go on to November. That's stacking the deck, and that's not fair. But that's what happens in California. But it seems like Steve Hilton is really coming through. He's raising a ton of money. His message is clear. California's a mess. They got 12 to 14, Democratic candidates on the Democrat side. None of them seem to be ringing the bell. They came out of their own convention without any endorsements. That tells you how mixed up the Democrats are in California. So
yeah, there is an opportunity for that. And the Republicans I've heard talking, they seem very credible. It's not like they're wingnuts or something.
Yes, Steve Hilton, look, let's see what happens. But California seems to be wide open. California is in such a mess. It's beyond your ability to describe the mess that it's in. And the sad part about that is how many innocent citizens in California are caught in this mess and can't move even though they would like to. But you have businesses leaving. Individuals that can afford to leave. Those who are desperate, they don't care what it costs them, they leave. But a lot of people are stuck. They have the highest prices and everything. It's the most expensive state to live in. They have the highest gas prices. And Governor Newsom has run this state literally into the ground. And it is messy. And you have a supermajority there in Sacramento with the Assembly and the Senate. So maybe they've hit the wall. Maybe this thing will turn around and go in another direction. So we'll see what happens.
They have had Republicans in the past. Maybe it'll happen again. Yeah.
Remember, Reagan came from California governor.
Yeah. And Schwarzenegger was kind of conservative for a while.
Yeah. I remember as a young reporter interviewing Governor Reagan in his office in Sacramento with Pat. You know who was on his side? Pat Boone was next to him. Yeah, it was kind of fun.
Well, that doesn't surprise me too much.
Yeah, okay, I like doing that. Take 2 Corinthians 4, 8, and 9 with you. We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed. We're perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not abandoned. Struck down, but not destroyed. In other words, you're having a tough day. We all do, but God is with us. Take that with you today. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 8 and 9.
Ministries on the Move spotlights how God is using everyday people and organizations to bring light, love, and transformation to others through inspiring conversations and real-life stories. Join me Tuesdays and Thursdays right here on the Dove TV.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary, sunlit interiors meet old-world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian-owned and operated, pet-friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site, in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare, where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living. Your home.
The threat of wildfire poses a growing risk to Oregonians. You can prepare now by taking 3 important steps. Create a home inventory. Make copies of important financial records, and contact your insurance company to make sure you have the right amounts and types of home insurance coverage. Be wildfire ready by being insurance ready. Visit dfr.oregon.gov/prepare now to learn how.
At Max Mobile Storage, the commitment is simple: to offer unmatched convenience and reliability in storage. Max Mobile Storage delivers containers right to your doorstep, making storage easy and hassle-free. Founded in 2012 in Medford, Oregon, we sell, rent, and fabricate top-quality shipping containers for homes and businesses. Locally owned and operated, we're proud to serve our community with friendly, reliable service you can trust. More information at maxmobilestorage.com. maxmobilestorage.com.
The launch event is like a training for the younger pro-life generation to be a better pro-life advocate. I think the best part about launch was that it taught us how to argue and then put us on a college campus to argue the pro-life position. Not a lot of knowledge is required to go into launch. You just have to be pro-life and willing to learn.
Join us March 23rd through 26th in Salem, Oregon. Visit ortl.org/launch for more information. Scholarships available. Please email info@jacksoncountyprolife.org.
The Dove TV, encouraging and informative with Focus Today, weekdays.
Good morning. You're tuned to the Dove, encouraging and informative, helping Oregon, Northern California, Idaho, and Nevada start the day with news and encouragement. This is Mornings on the Dove.
Well, good morning to you. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove. Steve is still away. Steve is with us. Jerry's still away. Steve is with us right there, live from Tucson, Arizona this morning. Thank you, buddy, for getting up, being there. But you're an hour ahead of us. So
That's right. Things are going well for the next hour.
Good for you. All right. A lot going on in the news. There always is. We'll bring that to you. Weather-wise, we kind of see a little bit of a calming down here on the West Coast, but we've had some pretty good rain, snow. We like all that stuff. And a little leftover showers this morning, so we'll give you an update on that. So a lot going on. Last night, the longest State of the Union address ever. Does that surprise you?
When he mentioned several times, I have a lot to talk about, I thought a lot for Donald Trump to talk about is going to be a long time, that's for sure.
Well, I remember he was given 10 minutes for the National Prayer Breakfast.
Oh, was he? Okay.
An hour later, he stopped.
It doesn't surprise anybody, I don't think.
No, there you go. All right. Good morning, buddy. What's up? What do you got?
Well, there are a few things to know about. It's Clam Chowder Day.
Ooh.
It's not a bad thing, right? I mean, and you said you kind of like the clam chowder in the bread bowl.
Yes, I do.
I like that too. You know, there's so many ways of making clam chowder. You know, you have chili cook-offs. We should have a clam chowder cook-off. I'd love to try that. Maybe have some lobster bisque within the clam chowder. I don't know. That's kind of changing the definition a little bit, but that's okay. I don't mind a little creativity going on there. It's also chocolate-covered, what is it, nut day. I guess it's all nuts, whatever. And I like raisins. I like nuts. What do you like?
Chocolate-covered peanuts and chocolate-covered almonds.
And almonds, yeah. I don't think I've ever had chocolate-covered cashews. Are those around?
Well,
I don't know if they are.
Chocolate
I
goes
would think
on
that would taste good. I think it does. You're right. One thing you don't want it to do is to go on your pistol, though. The reason I say that is 1836, Samuel Colt, on this day, patented the first practical revolving cylinder. I think they had a few that didn't work so well, but he got it right. Let's face it, those old guns work just as well as the newer ones. And for better or worse, changed everything, really, and pretty amazing. I'm not sure when the Gatling gun came about, because that would have been a bigger version of this. But so anyway, that happened in 1836.
Wow.
Then it was just 30 years later, we first got the greenback. We didn't have dollar bills before then. So you know what I have? I collected this. I think I got it off of eBay. It was like a note of currency. So it wasn't a coin, but it wasn't a greenback. It wasn't like a standardized type of a thing. It was a little scrap of paper, almost like a large Post-it note. That was kind of the size. Anyway, that's what we had before that. But then it was first 1862, passed by Congress to say, we want to start the greenbacks. And so what else can I tell you? It's the first flat paper money that was legal tender in the U.S. I guess the rest of it was subjective to interpretation. I don't know.
Well, in the 1800s, there'd still be a lot of emphasis on gold.
Yes. Yeah, that's through sacks of coins. And, you think of a little sack with a little drawstring and you rattle it. And sounds pretty good.
And then silver came along. They started making silver dollars. Remember that?
Yeah, the way gold has gone up, I wouldn't mind a little sack of gold right now. That would be pretty good.
Yeah, $5,000 an ounce. Can you believe that?
That's amazing.
That's amazing. Interesting stuff all the way around. Wow. Okay. Well, clam chowder. It's almost noon for us guys to get up early, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. For overnight workers, it's dinner.
Yeah, it's dinner.
So there you go. I like it. I haven't had it for a while. That'd be good.
All right, good stuff. All right, 4.5 past the hour. Let's check out the weather with our new weather guy, Alvin Inman.
A look at our weather from Grange Co-op. With a quieter pattern settling in across Oregon and Northern California tomorrow. In Northern Oregon and Southern Washington, patchy morning frost and a slight chance of a lighter shower, then partly sunny with highs in the low 50s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Down the Willamette Valley, mostly sunny with highs around 50 for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene. In Central Oregon, a slight chance of early rain or snow, then mostly sunny with highs in the low to mid-40s in Prineville, Bend, and Sun River. Over in Boise, a chance of morning rain, then mostly sunny with highs in the mid-50s. Along the Oregon coast, a few morning showers, then clouds breaking in, some sun, and highs in the mid-50s for Coos Bay, Port Orford, Brookings, and Crescent City. In southern Oregon, a slight chance of a morning shower, then partly to mostly sunny with highs near the low 50s for Grants Pass, Medford, and Ashland. Partly sunny in Klamath Falls with a high in the upper 40s and a cold night dropping into the upper 20s. Into Northern California, partly sunny in Wairika with a high in the mid-50s, a slight chance of a morning shower, then partly to mostly cloudy with highs in the mid to upper 60s for Redding, Chico, and Sacramento. Across the Bay Area, morning fog, then partly to mostly sunny with highs in the mid-60s in Santa Rosa and Napa, mid-60s in San Francisco, and upper 60s in San Jose. It's a snapshot of your Wednesday weather from Grange Co-op.
And there's the morning shot of downtown Ashland Plaza this morning. It's still raining there a little bit. You can see some low clouds around the hillside there. But a beautiful shot, really, of a fun city right there in southern Oregon, downtown Ashland at the plaza. You can go now and get a parking place. Okay. What's happening with David Jeremiah?
Well, David Jeremiah is a guy you want to listen to. He has a lot of great things to be able to say. And in this latest installation of his own wisdom, he uses a phrase that we have heard so many times called the just shall live by faith. And this is one that apparently got the reformer Martin Luther all those years ago at the 1600s through some big challenges as he illustrates to us what he went through.
The just shall live by faith, not by works, not by good deeds. We are not saved by works. We are saved unto good works. We are saved. Once we're saved, we do these good works according to the Scripture. But this was the truth that riveted the heart of the great reformer Martin Luther. On 3 separate occasions, this phrase had an impact on his life. First of all, in Wittenberg, in the quiet of his cell, while the world is still asleep, he's being incarcerated for all that he has been doing. And he's poring over the epistle to the Romans. And Paul's quotation from Habakkuk strangely captivates him. And he begins to say to himself, the just shall live by faith. The just shall live by faith. Years pass, and Luther, in the course of his journey, crosses the Alps, and there is overtaken by a serious sickness. His mind relapses into utmost darkness and dejection, and the sense of his sinfulness troubles him, and the prospect of judgment begins to fill him with fear and dread. But at the very moment at which those terrors reach their highest pitch, the words that had already struck Wittenberg recur forcibly to his memory, and he begins to hear them again. The just shall live by faith. The just shall live by faith.
Wow. A good reminder.
Yeah, you never know what verses might come to you in a time of need. You know, we just think of that as one of many. Had a big impact on Luther, didn't it?
Yeah, sure did. I want a picture of the door, me standing in front of the door someday.
Wittenberg door, yeah.
Okay. Excuse me. All right, let's take a look at some of the top stories today. Of course, the big story is last night the president gave the State of the Union address. It was the longest in U.S. history. There was many points about the address that were just absolutely fascinating. You're watching some video. The president was being announced as he's coming down the proverbial aisle there to work his way to the podium. There were stunning moments where he made statements and then pointed to which would have been his right, which is where the Democrats were sitting, and that's what they were doing. They were sitting, they were not standing. Pretty remarkable. One of the stunning moments in the speech when he took off about how we are winning, and here is that clip.
Our country is winning so much that we really don't know what to do about it. People are asking me, please, 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 Mr. President, we're winning too much. We can't take it anymore. We're not used to winning in our country. Until you came along, we're just always losing, but now we're winning too much. And I say, no, 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 you're going to win again. You're going to win big. You're going to win bigger than ever. And to prove that point, Here with us tonight is a group of winners who just made the entire nation proud. The men's gold medal Olympic hockey team. Come on in.
That was a stunning moment.
Even the Democrats have to stand for that.
They did. But there was a moment when the president's, and I'm paraphrasing his questions, he basically said, what I'm about to do next, I'm asking you to stand if you believe that we should be protecting the citizens of the United States and arresting the criminals and getting them out of the United States. And everybody stood. But the Democrats didn't stand.
And he was referring to illegal aliens specifically.
Yeah. And that was his defense about ICE and all that stuff going on. But it really was a stunning moment, you know, and you look at this and say, okay, what is it about politics that you're so rooted that you can't even be used by common sense? You know, I'm trying to figure, is that part of the syndrome, you know?
It's the era in which we live, it seems, you know. I have to be against everything you say because I just don't like you. It comes down to a personality, I think.
Yeah. All right. I kind of goofed here, but I want to get this clip into, maybe you can introduce it. It has to do with the tariff. Do you have that one?
The tariffs, yes. And the specific things that he talked about, taking a jab, of course, at the Supreme Court because of their ruling that they made on tariffs.
Yeah.
One of the primary reasons for our country's stunning economic turnaround, the biggest in history, where the Dow Jones broke 50,000 4 years ahead of schedule, and the S&P hit 7,000, where it wasn't supposed to do it for many years, were tariffs. I used these tariffs, took in hundreds of billions of dollars to make great deals for our country, both economically and on a national security basis. Everything was working well. Countries that were ripping us off for decades are now paying us hundreds of billions of dollars. They were ripping us so badly, you all know that. Everybody knows it. Even the Democrats know it. They just don't want to say it. And yet these countries are now happy, and so are we. We made deals. The deals are all done. And they're happy. They're not making money like they used to, but we're making a lot of money. There was no inflation, tremendous growth, and the big story was how Donald Trump called the economy correctly, and 22 Nobel Prize winners in economics didn't. They got it totally wrong. They got it really wrong. And then just 4 days ago, an unfortunate ruling from the United States Supreme Court. It just came down. It came down. Very unfortunate ruling. But the good news is that almost all countries and corporations want to keep the deal that they already made, right, Scott? Knowing that the legal power that I, as president, have to make a new deal could be far worse for them, and therefore they will continue to work along the same successful path that we had negotiated before the Supreme Court's unfortunate involvement. So despite the disappointing ruling, these powerful, country-saving, it's saving our country, the kind of money we're taking in, peace-protecting. Many of the wars I settled was because of the threat of tariffs. I wouldn't have been able to settle them without. Will remain in place under fully approved and tested alternative legal statutes. And they have been tested for a long time. They're a little more complex, but they're actually probably better, leading to a solution that will be even stronger than before. Congressional action will not be necessary. It's already time-tested and approved. And as time goes by, I believe the tariffs paid for by foreign countries will, like in the past, substantially replace the modern-day system of income tax, taking a great financial burden off the people that I love.
Well, it was pretty interesting. Only Donald Trump could say things like that, and in the face of those that opposed him. And that's at the Supreme Court. So anyway, we'll see where it goes. But the problem we're having with the Supreme Court now is they're giving rulings, and there's no consequence if you don't obey them. I'm wondering if we're in some kind of a judicial crisis in this country. So we'll wait and see. But he quickly slipped over to the other interpretation of tariffs, and that's what he's operating on now. So we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out.
Every day seems to have its own interesting aspect of it.
Yeah.
Another story that's kind of hitting big has to do with the Epstein files and releasing those. And we've heard a lot of calls for those to be released. We've now heard it from the brother of Virginia Giuffre. You might recall that she was one who she says was abused by Epstein. And also, I believe Prince Andrew was involved with her situation. She wrote a book about it, but then she also was going through a lot of turmoil, obviously, because she took her own life. Well, her brother, Sky Roberts, had a news conference yesterday where he said, you know what, it is time to release all of the Epstein files unredacted.
Standing with members of Congress and with survivors across the nation and across the world. Because Virginia's story is the story so many survivors know too well. A mountain of obstacles that seem impossible to climb. Pain so deep, it doesn't fit into words. And a system that too often makes the survivor carry the burden instead of the perpetrator. But I am here to say proudly and with absolute conviction that what Virginia did for this world will not be in vain. She may have left this earth, but her soul is still here. It lives in every survivor who decides to speak. It lives in every victim who is still finding their voice.
I can't imagine, you know.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. More to come on that. So right there in your own backyard, you say about, 2 or 3 miles away from you is the Nancy Guthrie story. And I don't know, is the story going cold, Steve? What's up?
Well, you know, we have seen it's over 4 weeks now, and we've wondered what is the deal with the apparent abduction of Nancy Guthrie. We've had 2 times where people have said, well, we've got a ransom note. Those have been found to be faulty. So no one really knows the motivation behind all of this, and we still have no suspects. And her mother, or her daughter, I should say, Savannah Guthrie, who's a network morning show host, has taken to Instagram every now and then to make some comments about her concerns. But now in her latest one, she says there is a chance the family is realizing her mother may not be alive.
We are blowing on the embers of hope. We also know that she may be lost. She may already be gone.
So the prayers continue, and the police continue to investigate, try to find out what they can.
We'll continue to pray for that family. I can't even imagine hour after hour, day after day, going into its 4th week now. Just how agonizing all that must be. So thoughts and prayers for them. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Since 1934, Grange Co-op has been more than just a store. We've been a cornerstone of our community, owned by people like you. We proudly offer top-quality farm and ranch supplies, including our own Rogue feed, as well as workwear, Western apparel, garden essentials, and pet care products. By signing up as a Grange Rewards customer, you not only enjoy exclusive benefits like special offers and 1% back on most purchases, but you also become part of something bigger, a cooperative that you own and help shape. Join Grange Rewards today.
It was an amazing year of growth here at the Dove. You, our viewers and partners, blessed us with a new studio, a video wall, control room, and much needed installation, heating and air conditioning. Plus, you helped us renew our tower leases so we can continue to broadcast the Dove all across our network. And from everyone here at the Dove, a huge thank you. We could have never done this without your help. We appreciate you standing with the Dove prayerfully and financially to keep the Dove encouraging and informative 24 hours a day.
Panoramic Moto Tours was born really out of my passion just to ride, grace back roads and the scenic highways in our beautiful Northwest. God put it on my heart to share the experiences and invite others. More than riding beautiful roads, it's the camaraderie and fellowship. It's hearing each other's stories. It's being mutually encouraged on our journeys of life.
Riders can book one of our ready-to-ride guided tours offering the best of Oregon or Northern California. Or book a private custom tour tailored just for your group to destinations like Glacier or Yellowstone. For more information, go to
panoramicmototours.com or call me, Nick, at 541-622-3844. When you find something you love, you just want to share it.
panoramicmototours.com. Your next adventure starts here.
21 minutes past the hour. Welcome back. Stephen Perry here. Steve, you certainly will know this, but it was big news that broke yesterday late in the afternoon right here in Southern Oregon, and that is the Oldsrud family, which has owned and operated the Medford-based Sherm's Market since 1967, is planning to sell all 4 of its Southern Oregon stores. The company was founded by Steve and Wanda Oldsrud. After they opened their first store, which would have been the Sherm's Thunderbird Market there in West Medford. And then later it expanded to Klamath Falls. And then early in the 70s, they purchased the Medford Bazaar department store there on Biddle Road and ran it as a Thunderbird store until about the early 80s. And then it became Sherm's Food for Less. Decades later, it expanded to Roseburg. So the company is known for its certainly support of community efforts, renowned for its longevity of much of its staff, and its example of just flat out benefiting community across the board. Examples of generosity can be found in many places, including the 4-H, the Medford School District, Southern Oregon University, food pantries across Southern Oregon. In 2022, the family gave $12 million to the Asante Foundation for its largest project ever, and that is the Oldsrud Woman and Children's Hospital. And Steve, who's now the son, both parents now are gone, but the son who runs the company announced yesterday that the all 4 stores, including their food distribution center, is now for sale. That's big news for us here in Southern Oregon.
You know, I think if you couldn't find what you wanted in Food for Less, it doesn't exist.
Basically, yes. And the other thing is that see, you know, you covered, when you were here, you covered the food access pantry, so to speak, for all those years, and they would give at least 20,000 pounds of food regularly to the food access so that people in Southern Oregon would go with food, would have access to food.
When they'd back up that big truck, we knew it was full of stuff.
It was amazing.
People could use.
All right, let's take a look at Wall Street for this Wednesday morning. And thank you, Preston, there with Smartlawn. The Dow continues to climb after the speech last night. It's up 124, almost 125 points. The Nasdaq is up 264 points. Whoa. And the S&P really happy this morning, up 38, almost 39 points. Those are fairly strong numbers. So apparently it liked the president's speech. The Dow, gold, $5,206 an ounce. Silver jumped to $90.40. And this is a sign we want to see, but it's not enough. Crude oil's down to $70. We need to get that down into the 50s to make it sensible. So that's what's happening out there.
You know, the recent interview with Ambassador Mike Huckabee of Israel is kind of taking interesting little channels here that he had with Tucker Carlson. And on Newsmax, Greg Kelly reports Wayne Allen Root, who is the host of the show The Root Report, Reaction, reacts to a clip of Tucker grilling Mike Huckabee about getting DNA samples for those living in Israel.
Abram's descendants are the ones who have the right to have this land, correct? Yes. Okay. Why don't we do genetic testing on everybody in the land and find out who Abram's descendants are? It's really simple. We've cracked the human genome. We can do that. Why don't we do that? Would you be against doing that?
Maybe it would be.
What do you mean? It would prove who Abram's descendants are and who has a right to live here and who doesn't, according to the theology that you yourself just explained.
Well, look, I think Tucker's getting paid by somebody to divide our movement, to divide MAGA, the GOP, and most importantly, divide America. Because one thing I know about America, Greg, is America has always been wonderful to the Jewish people, wonderful to Israel. We're a Judeo-Christian nation. There are more important issues to worry about than hammering on Israel and asking for DNA tests to find out if you're a descendant from 3,000 years ago. It's the most ridiculous, ludicrous thing I've ever heard. It's the most insulting thing I think I've ever heard in my life. I happen to be Jewish. I've never heard anything so insulting. Do we ask the Irish, the Italians, the Polish, my great friend, my director, Petar is Serbian, does he need to prove that he really is Serbian from Serbia? Where have we gotten off track here? Tucker is in another world, a twilight zone, and he's dividing our party, causing dissension and hatred. And if only he grilled white nationalists and Holocaust deniers the same way he grilled my great friend, Mike Huckabee, who just sent me a beautiful email last night, hearing a couple things that I said online about Tucker. And the United States ambassador to Israel sent me a beautiful email thanking me for everything I'm doing to support him and Israel and the United States of America. I'm sickened and flabbergasted by what's coming out of the mouth of Tucker Carlson, who I used to like, by the way, very much. I think him and I were on the same track on almost every issue, but suddenly Israel's become the dividing line. No, Trump was elected over the economy, inflation, and the border, and the war on women. Women being robbed, raped, and murdered by illegals. Send them home. Build the wall, deport them all. That's what this election was about. That's what this presidency is about. It isn't about Israel.
I'm just stunned by what's happened to Tucker Carlson, where he's going. What's his point?
Well, there's the issue right there. It seems kind of ridiculous. I'm not sure what he wants to achieve, but I don't think that's the way of going about it. It just sounds like a poorly thought out question. And you can tell by Mike's, Ambassador Huckabee, I should say, his reaction is that, what are you talking about?
Well, previous
it's not been an issue.
Yeah, and previous to that was the issue out of Genesis dealing with the real estate contract that God gave Israel from the beginning.
Yeah.
You kind of go, okay, what's your point here? Yeah. What are you trying to say? That they are non-deserving of anything, that there's so few Jews left that they shouldn't be given anything, that they should be extinct, and that the land, whatever they got left, should be taken away from them? Where's he going with this?
Well, or the opposite, maybe. Maybe we should have a war against all these neighboring countries that support Israel, Jordan and so on, and say, we're taking back some of the land. I mean, I'm not sure what his point is in all of this. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the conservatives are going to do with him, because on other things he seems to be spot on. But on this stuff, this is the one that's separating him from the pack. And will it continue to separate him from the pack? In other words, is he going down the road that might be irrecoverable, that he may have to jump the fence and go on the other side? You know.
Well, we'll see. Now he's only on the internet since he was fired from Fox. So I don't think he'll get another job in broadcast anyway.
Not with that.
Unless you want to hire him.
Not who? CNN?
You. No, you. Unless you want to hire. Point, counterpoint. Atkinson and Carlson.
Did I get you up too early, Steve?
Oh, no. I just need another cup of coffee.
Okay, get it quickly. We'll be right back. All right.
We want to see you open up the floodgates. A mighty river flowing from your heart, filling every part of our brain. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna
Combining your home and auto insurance could save you time and money. And who doesn't like that? When you want surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life, call State Farm agent Rory Wold in Medford today.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
What an amazing year of growth last year for the Dove. You, our viewers and partners, blessed us with a new studio, a video wall to create sets for new local programming, a state-of-the-art control room, and much-needed insulation, along with heating and air conditioning. Plus, you helped us renew many tower leases, so we can continue to bring you the Dove all across our network and a brand new full-power TV station. And from everyone here at the Dove, a huge thank you. We could have never done this without you. Your prayers and support is allowing the Dove to bring the gospel, encouragement, and information to millions more people needing the hope of Christ worldwide. We appreciate you standing with the Dove prayerfully and financially in our mission to reach people with the good news via television, radio, and streaming online. Thank you for your continued faithful support in keeping the Dove encouraging and informative 24 hours a day.
The Dove TV streams worldwide on Roku and Apple TV, plus online at thedove.us.
Welcome back. 28 minutes before the hour. Do you remember last night, Steve, or in the past, when the president speaks, and then they do the post-analysis of his speech? A lot of the networks will run the applause levels of the Reds, the Blues.
Yeah.
And, you know, they have the line, and the top one will be like, the red line would be like the Republicans, the yellow would be the Independents, and then the blue. Well, those analyses are coming out this morning. It's pretty interesting. But the one that caught my eye is this one here. And it just says, do you remember in the speech the president called the Democrats crazy for not remember that one? He said,
what was it regarding?
He said those people over there are crazy.
Oh, okay.
For not applauding a ban on secret teen gender transition. And they didn't applaud. The red and the yellow went through the roof, and the blue went down. Now, what's interesting to me about that is that the yellow followed the red.
I was going to say that would be the big thing. See, where are the independents in this?
Yeah, so even, because that's the voting block that every politician has to go after today. The independents are the ones who are sick of both parties. They're also the ones that would be a pro-life Democrat would be an independent, and a pro-choice Republican could become an independent. You know, that's kind of where they land. But the point being is that number, that block is voting is growing by the minute. But last night on that particular statement, which is a high moral statement in this country, the yellows went right up with the reds real high, and I go, whoa, that's an indication there. So, in the meantime, Iran is still very much in the news. We're in this 48-hour period as to whether or not a deal is going to be made or not be made. We don't know what the president's going to do, but the citizen protests inside the country continue to build even after genocide at a level that we've never seen before. So let's check in with CBN News and Gordon Robertson. He has a little bit of an update.
Anti-government protests are rising again inside Iran. University students are rallying on campuses, encouraged by a message of hope through a mass text they all received.
Meanwhile, as President Trump considers launching a military strike, he's defending his top general. CBN Middle East correspondent Paul Petit has the latest from Jerusalem.
Protests are growing louder in Iran. For the third straight day, students are defying the regime, this time at the all-female Al-Zahra University. Students chanted in Farsi, saying for each person killed, 1,000 stand behind them. The demonstrations follow memorials marking 40 days since the government cracked down on anti-government protesters, killing tens of thousands. Iran State News Agency reports similar protests erupted at 5 universities across the capital since Saturday. Multiple Middle East news outlets reported that Iranian anti-regime protesters received a mass text in Farsi saying President Trump is a, quote, man of action, wait and see. The anonymous message comes as the president weighs whether to strike Iran after issuing a 10-day ultimatum last Thursday. Posting on Truth Social Monday, Trump warned, if we don't make a deal, it will be a very bad day for that country and, very sadly, its people. In the same post, Trump denied reports that the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff is against military action. Calling the reports about General Daniel Kaine fake news, Trump posted that he only knows one thing, how to win, and, if he is told to do so, he will be leading the pack. But according to the Wall Street Journal, General Kaine warned Trump that a prolonged conflict could incur significant cost to U.S. forces and national stockpiles. Trump responded, saying, General Kaine, like all of us, would like not to see war. But if a decision is made on going against Iran at a military level, it is his opinion that it will be something easily won. In Jerusalem, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu addressed the Knesset Monday, telling members that Israel is ready.
No one knows what the future holds. We are vigilant. We are prepared for any scenario. I passed on and clarified to the regime of the Ayatollahs that if they make perhaps the gravest mistake in their history and attack the state of Israel, we will respond with a force they cannot even imagine.
Iran responded with warnings of its own.
Any state would react to an act of aggression as part of its inherent right of self-defense ferociously. So that's what we would do.
Another round of talks are confirmed to begin Thursday in Geneva, according to Oman's foreign minister and negotiation mediator, posting that there is a positive push to go the extra mile towards finalizing the deal. Paul Petit, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Well, we'll see how these negotiations go. It's within 48 hours we'll know one way or the other. Let's continue to pray for the people of Iran. They do not deserve this theocracy that is quite clearly trying to kill them. Anyone who protests against them is subject to execution. The mass killings that happen on the streets as the army was unleashed on their own population. These things are horrific to imagine, but that's what happened within Iran. And this is something that, in my opinion, means they no longer have the right to govern. And the international community needs to be allied on this, that no, we can't have a terrorist sponsor, we can't have a terrorist state, we can't have a theocracy that murders their own people. That should not exist in the modern world. And we'll see what happens, but please continue to pray.
Yeah. Bottom line, it's easy for us to sit here and armchair all of these things, but we don't know all the details and the impact and the complexity of what's really going on, not only in Iran, but all of the fallout throughout the entire Middle East. So Gordon is right. Let's pray for God's grace, mercy, and wisdom for the president and the decisions that he makes. All right, 22 minutes before the hour, let's check in with Alvin and find out what's happening in the weather department.
A look at our weather from Grange Co-op. With a quieter pattern settling in across Oregon and Northern California tomorrow. In Northern Oregon and Southern Washington, patchy morning frost and a slight chance of a lighter shower, then partly sunny with highs in the low 50s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Down the Willamette Valley, mostly sunny with highs around 50 for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene. In Central Oregon, a slight chance of early rain or snow, then mostly sunny with highs in the low to mid-40s in Prineville, Bend, and Sun River. Over in Boise, a chance of morning rain, then mostly sunny with highs in the mid-50s. Along the Oregon coast, a few morning showers, then clouds breaking in some sun and highs in the mid-50s for Coos Bay, Port Orford, Brookings, and Crescent City. In Southern Oregon, a slight chance of a morning shower, then partly to mostly sunny with highs near the low 50s for Grants Pass, Medford, and Ashland. Partly sunny in Klamath Falls, with a high in the upper 40s and a cold night dropping into the upper 20s. Into Northern California, partly sunny in Wairiko with a high in the mid-50s, a slight chance of a morning shower, then partly to mostly cloudy with highs in the mid to upper 60s for Redding, Chico, and Sacramento. Across the Bay Area, morning fog, then partly to mostly sunny with highs in the mid-60s in Santa Rosa and Napa, mid-60s in San Francisco, and upper 60s in San Jose. It's a snapshot of your Wednesday weather from Grange Co-op.
And there's a picture of the plaza in downtown Ashland this morning. Still some rain scattered around a little bit, some low clouds, and but still a nice shot. The good news about that picture is you can get a parking spot right now.
There the white car's been there a long time.
There you go. All right.
They must be making the donuts.
There you go.
That's why they're there. So
there you go. All right.
You know, I'm starting to like King Charles a little bit more all the time, considering the problems that he's facing with his brother Andrew and Prince Harry having problems. And I can't imagine being married to Queen Camilla. I couldn't imagine what that would be like.
No.
But then again, there are many things I can't imagine. So that's just one of them. But if we look back to 1975, he had to be in his mid-20s at that point. I didn't realize that he had even done this. Television was quite a bit different in the 1970s. It was still Mary Tyler Moore, 16 millimeter, camera type stuff, going out and getting stuff. So it wasn't as easy to turn it around. Yeah. So he made a historic ice dive, though, that I don't remember, while he was in Canada, which, of course, is one of the countries that's associated with England, of course. So here's a clip from the Royal Family YouTube where he talks about this dive back in 1975.
Many of the things that you did must have given your security detail a headache or two, and definitely the one of those I think is going to most take people by surprise is you diving under the ice.
Yes, that I vividly remember. But I'm afraid I've always tended to live life dangerously.
Well, yes.
Prince Charles learned to scuba dive in the Royal Navy, but had never previously done a dive in the Arctic.
Problem was, it took hours to get into this suit. And then you wonder where the leaks are going to be, because it actually gets extremely cold around. Have you done it?
Yes,
yeah.
And we will be aiming to redo what you did as well. And even now, it's still something that puts your heart in your mouth.
Yeah.
How was it when you actually sat on that ice ledge at the beginning? How did it feel that moment before plunging in?
Well, take a deep breath and try. It's the only answer I found.
There was no underwater cameraman to film the Prince's dive in 1975, but we've been given access to photos in the King's private collection.
There are images here of you actually under the ice, and this is almost the definition of anxiety for most people, just that sense of claustrophobia, of not being able to get out, of the ice over your head. I mean, wasn't that intimidating?
Well, slightly. So you don't quite know what to expect till you get under there. The problem with diving like this is getting your ballast right. And even though I had these buttons to press, which either inflate you or deflate you, it didn't make any difference at all, because old Joe McInnes went down to the bottom, which you could see. This is so clear, the water, incredible. And he kept going like this. And I was literally bobbing up against the underside of the ice. And whenever I did up, I went straight back up again. But no, it was a fascinating experience. I wouldn't have missed it, really.
One picture here that I'd love you to tell us about.
Isn't that a bowler hat?
That is a bowler hat.
That's right, yes. Well, he had some marks. Anyway, I thought it'd be rather fun coming back up with the hat on. And I thought I'd chance to fool around.
Do you know what? We have the evidence of that. Can I show you?
Yes, yes, yes.
So this is you coming up to the surface with Joe.
With a rather collapsed-looking boat.
Yes.
I blew the thing up, see how far it would go.
Yes. There is a slight air of the Teletubby about that, if you don't mind me saying.
Can you tell us how it was? It was splendid. It's very, very interesting indeed, I must say. Bloody cold. What? That's happened to. Well, I tell you, we put the air in here, you see, and if you now do an amazing...
What a sense of humor.
Yes, yeah, that we don't see too much.
That's good stuff. All right. Gosh, I didn't know he had it in him. Good stuff. Charles Spurgeon, a little bit older than the king. Of course, if you ever read his book, Morning and Evening, it was kind of like his morning and evening devotional. And I loaned mine out, never got it back. I should go buy another one. just great readings. But anyway, it talks about how we are to be true followers of Christ. And here's what he had to say in one of those clips.
Take up the cross and follow me. Mark 10, verse 21. You have not the making of your own cross, although unbelief is a master carpenter at cross making. Neither are you permitted to choose your own cross, although self-will would fain be Lord and Master. But your cross is prepared and appointed for you by divine love, and you are cheerfully to accept it. You are to take up the cross as your chosen badge and burden, and not to stand caviling at it. This night, Jesus bids you submit your shoulder to his easy yoke. Do not kick at it in petulance, or trample on it in vainglory, or fall under it in despair, or run away from it in fear, but take it up like a true follower of Jesus. Jesus was a cross-bearer. He led the way in the path of sorrow. Surely you could not desire a better guide. And if he carried a cross, what nobler burden would you desire? The Via Crucis is the way of safety. Fear not to tread its thorny paths. Beloved, the cross is not made of feathers or lined with velvet. It is heavy and galling to disobedient shoulders. But it is not an iron cross. Though your fears have painted it with iron colors, it is a wooden cross, and a man can carry it, for the man of sorrows tried the load. Take up your cross, and by the power of the Spirit of God, you will soon be so in love with it that, like Moses, you would not exchange the reproach of Christ for all the treasures of Egypt. Remember that Jesus carried it, and it will smell sweetly. Remember that it will soon be followed by the crown, and the thought of the coming weight of glory will greatly lighten the present heaviness of trouble. The Lord help you to bow your spirit in submission to the divine will before you fall asleep tonight, that waking with tomorrow's sun, you may go forth to the day's cross with the holy and submissive spirit which becomes a follower of the crucified.
How about reading that before you go to bed at night? Huh? Beautiful. All right, we'll take a quick break and we'll look for some clam chowder over there. Over here.
Clam chowder day.
Over there. We'll be right back.
The Pregnancy Center in Medford is a place of hope, providing free pregnancy testing, ultrasounds, options counseling, and support to help women make informed, empowered choices. The Pregnancy Center is growing, hiring registered nurses to join our compassionate team. Work in a supportive environment where you can truly make a difference. No ultrasound experience? No problem. We'll train you in limited ultrasonography, a valuable new skill set for your career. To learn more, visit thepregnancycenter.us. Thepregnancycenter.us.
Buying or selling a home can be stressful. It's one of the biggest decisions you'll make in your lifetime. That's why it's important to work with someone you trust, someone who has the right experience and knowledge of the market.
Hi, we're Patrick and Paulina Leiser with Leiser Real Estate Group.
And whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, our mission is to take the stress out of the transaction and make it as seamless and rewarding as possible.
Contact us today. We look forward to working with you.
I'm Susanna, and I contracted KA Designs to do custom cabinets throughout my house. We chose a really beautiful maple wood that really creates like a nice airy space. Everything was custom, and it was really cool because I got to literally see it come to life in person. We love to entertain, and we have a large family, so everything came together perfectly, exactly what I wanted. I highly suggest KA Designs if you're looking to design your dream house. Go check them out in their showroom. You will not be disappointed.
The Dove is shining with a brand new show, Season to Shine.
I'm Melinda Robertson, host of Season to Shine, a new heartfelt, inspiring program for women designed to bring encouragement, wisdom, and hope into your everyday life. We'll help you discover God's purpose in every season, empowering you to shine with confidence, faith, and joy. It's your season to shine. Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at 4 p.m. on the Dove TV. More at thedove.us.
All right, welcome back. 10 minutes before the hour. Yesterday, Steve, I don't know if you stuck around, but I had Tom Del Vaccaro back on. He is formerly Republican chairman of the state of California, but now he's an editor and a contributor to Fox and Epoch Time and a bunch of stuff out there. Well-known guy, well-respected. And I did ask him, because the president has announced that he's going to barnstorm the country during this midterm season. He's already showed that he's going to do that. But will that barnstorming increase the Trump fatigue? And here's what he had to say about it.
The Republicans are going to win the midterms, and there's some headwinds, particularly the fact that Virginia and other states are doing this gerrymandering, and Indiana chose not to. That's the big risk there. Again, they have to talk about the future. He has to say, in the next 2 years, here are the 5 things we will do. And the Democrats just want to go back to the spending that caused the inflation that took 20% of your savings away with the cheapening of the US dollar. If they talk again about the future, then yes. You know, Perry, I know you have other questions, but I heard your last guess about that dating thing, and I do want to say a 30-second spot on that.
Sure.
At the end of the day, we live in a world where our children are not given sufficient values. And the things that they value are very temporary. We don't teach them about how important it is to volunteer or to take care of your brother or to be involved in community or to build relationships. Now, we face great difficulty with technology. But at the end of the day, it's the family and parents that have to make the difference. Let me give you an analogy. The children of Japan eat much better than the children of America. You know why? Because the parents are very focused on that. And that what needs to return. I get it that you have these kids with these in their hand and quote, developing a relationship. But either we give them values, and that, of course, includes religion, or we don't, and we're not. And so we can talk about how oh, it's crazy, we've lost. Yes, we have. We've lost that. And I've discussed the effect of that in my book, The Lessons of the American Civilization.
All right, check it out. All right,
yeah.
Good stuff. What do you got there?
A professor who became a Christian and now has written several books is Rosaria Butterfield. And she talks about, if you've ever had the question of how do you share your faith with somebody, here's what she suggests.
That's a really great thing. You've got people in your home, and we're all grown-ups here. We have different positions. We have different worldviews. For the people who tend to be more timid or more maybe uncomfortable at the thought of making other people uncomfortable, how do you share the gospel? A couple of things I would strongly recommend. One is that you rehearse it. One is that you actually have maybe a go-to verse or a thing that you want to say. And you know what's really helpful? I think of something like 1 Timothy where Paul says, he says that this is a faithful saying, that Jesus Christ came into the world to save sinners, of whom I am the chief. So one of the first things you can do is realize that your testimony is your testimony, and very rarely are people going to argue with it because they can't. So you can start by sharing your testimony briefly and as it fits into this. So maybe somebody will say something about how she has an anxiety disorder and she has really struggled with her medication and she doesn't know what to do. And you can talk about how you also have struggled with anxiety and the peace of God has been there for you, and these are some of the verses that you use, and can I pray for you? So you can use your testimony as a way of answering someone's problem and question. Another thing you can do is, as people are just catching up, hey, what'd you do this weekend? Well, I went to church, and this is the sermon that I heard. And I thought it really applied not only to my life, but to the situation we're dealing with in the world right now. No one is going to steal your point of view from you except for you. So to realize that while it might not seem, you might feel like, well, what's one more Christian in the world? How can I change the world? Well, God can use one person, one testimony, one Bible verse, one offer for prayer, one offer to put the hand of the suffering into the hand of the Savior. It's always that way. That's how it always works. So again, but I think it helps to rehearse things. I think it helps to go in being in some ways on your guard, being ready to be an ambassador. I don't think actually anybody who's good at sharing the gospel just sort of fell out of bed and that was just how it happened. Everybody had to think about how they want to come across and what they want to say. So you too, give yourself time to prepare.
That's
obvious. Good advice.
Good advice all the way around. Always have a question in mind when you get into a discussion that you can always ask to get yourself more time to think. I've learned that doing 21,000 interviews. All right, take with you 2 Corinthians 4, verse 8. We are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed. Who said that being a Christian is easy? But God is with you all the way through. Take that with you. A little snapshot of the top of Mount Ashland this morning. Hey, not bad. All right.
Since 1934, Grange Co-op has been more than just a store. We've been a cornerstone of our community, owned by people like you. We proudly offer top-quality farm and ranch supplies, including our own Rogue feed, as well as workwear, Western apparel, garden essentials, and pet care products. By signing up as a Grange Rewards customer, you not only enjoy exclusive benefits like special offers and 1% back on most purchases, but you also become part of something bigger, a cooperative that you own and help shape. Join Grange Rewards today.
Applegate River Golf and RV Resort, a pristine 9-hole course alongside the Applegate River. Their clubhouse offers a golf simulator experience. The RV Resort is adjacent to the golf course with convenient pull-through parking. Applegate River Golf and RV Resort. Information at applegateRV.com.
Finding that next great series to binge watch is fun, but your neck, shoulders, and body don't count that as me time. Hi. I'm Tamara Miller, owner of Organic Element Spa, and I invite you to put down the remote, get off the couch, and schedule yourself some real me or we time with your favorite service, like one of our many massages, couples massages, or facials. Your health, safety, and comfort are always top priority with us at Organic Element Spa. We can't wait to see you. Book your appointment today.
What an amazing year of growth last year for the Dove. You, our viewers and partners, blessed us with a new studio, a video wall to create sets for new local programming, a state-of-the-art control room, and much-needed insulation, along with heating and air conditioning. Plus, you helped us renew many tower leases, so we can continue to bring you the Dove all across our network and a brand new full-power TV station. And from everyone here at the Dove, a huge thank you. We could have never done this without you. Your prayers and support is allowing the Dove to bring the gospel, encouragement, and information to millions more people needing the hope of Christ worldwide. We appreciate you standing with the Dove prayerfully and financially in our mission to reach people with the good news via television, radio, and streaming online. Thank you for your continued faithful support in keeping the Dove encouraging and informative 24 hours a day.
The Dove TV streams worldwide on Roku and Apple TV, plus online at thedove.us.
Hi, I'm Ryan Robertson, host of a brand new program on the Dove, Ministries on the Move. Ministries on the Move spotlights the incredible work of how God is using everyday people and organizations, putting their faith into action, serving the hurting, strengthening families, and sharing the hope of the gospel in practical ways. Be inspired and discover these Ministries on the Move. Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4 p.m., right here on the Dove TV. Encouraging and informative. More at thedove.us.
Your watchdog of liberty in the nation's capital. Washington Watch with Tony Perkins. Weeknights on the Dove TV. Encouraging and informative.
Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and been looking forward to our guest today. David Cancillo is with us. He's a conservative columnist, a Cuban-American commentator, co-author of the Gabriel Locke book series, including the latest installment, Gabriel Locke, Bound by Fate. A practicing Catholic, David also writes on culture, politics, faith from the distinctive principled perspective. He does. There's a picture of the cover of the book on the screen there, and I'm assuming, David, you can get that online, the books or the book series.
Yes, you absolutely can. You can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, anywhere where books are sold.
Good. Hey, thanks for your time. Good to see you. Look forward to talking to you. What did you think of the speech last night? What stood out to you?
Well, I would say it was a little long, but I loved it. It's I think the longest speech ever for a State of the Union address. I'm sorry, 1 hour and 48 minutes.
Yeah, right.
So very, very exciting to hear what the president had to say. And I think that, per usual, I think there were many people who didn't stand up and didn't want to appreciate the work that the president has put in. But that's about normal nowadays in politics.
Let's talk about that a little bit. Our two senators from the state of Oregon chose not to go. I understand 72 Democrats decided to boycott the speech and do their own, I guess, virtual town hall meeting or something like that. And then during the speech, the defiance, the silent defiance, so to speak. How did you take that? I mean, have we gotten to the point we can't even be respectful to the position?
Unfortunately, I hate to say this, but there are people who are actively against the interests of the United States, and I think that they care more about their small echo chambers with their very radicalized followers, and I think that we've become, to a degree, a nation of autocracy. It is a very dangerous thing. We do not have a universal truth that everyone adheres to. We don't have a set of beliefs that everyone can support and stand up to, or rather stand for, I should say. And that does worry me a lot, that even with the great things this presidency and this administration has done, there are those that are surely going to be against it, just for the sake of it.
Representative Al Green again did his thing. He was escorted out, yelling as he goes out. Over in the Democratic area there where they were sitting, one of the members of the squad had really a repulsive badge on her dress there.
Yeah.
And I'm going, how did we morally get to this point?
That is a multi-layered question. How do we morally get to this point? We began with a decline where people allowed, either through greed or just being against the universal beliefs that we share as a nation, to allow it to slip. I hate to say this, but those of us that are true patriots just let it slide because we had defeated, the communists in the Cold War, and the worst thing that ever happened was that they deprived us of an enemy. And we began to turn inward and divide ourselves.
Is the president right in pointing that out from his podium?
Yeah, I don't think it's a question of if it's right or wrong as much as it had to be done. I wouldn't, if I look at it morally, there are certain people that are clearly against the interests of the American people. When you look at asking a simple question, or rather asking everyone to stand up, if they're in favor of American citizens over illegal immigrants, every single person should have stood up, and many of them did not. So what does that tell you?
Of course, after the speech is done, a lot of the networks and people go off and they do their commentary. But one of the things that happens during that time, I think your pizza's ready.
It might just be. I apologize for that.
No worries. Anyway, where they'll run the the scoring lines, like they'll run a red line and a yellow line for independents and blues, and it'll kind of go up and down as the president speaks. You've probably seen those. Well, during the times when he was literally criticizing the Democrats, what was so interesting to me was certainly the red line would go up, you would expect that, but the yellow line went up significantly. Does that say anything? Those are the independents.
So forgive me, let me make sure that I understand this. Would you mind explaining that again? Because I think I lost part of that.
Okay.
Perhaps I'm not understanding.
You know when they run those lines, and this morning they're now showing the lines on some of the networks. They're showing the lines that when the president speaks, when he'll show the red line, will show the reaction of the Republicans in a focus group, and then they'll have the yellow lines of independents, and then they'll have the blue lines of the Democrats. While the president was pointing his finger and criticizing the Democrats sitting in that section, you would expect the red lines to go up, but the yellow lines went way up. Now, this is the group that doesn't like the Democrats, doesn't like being a Republican, doesn't like being a Democrat. They want to be in the middle and unidentified, but they seem to follow the red line. What does that say to you?
I think it's a great sign. I think that if anything, it strengthens our positions in the midterms, right? Everybody's terrified that, the midterms are not going to go well, and there's a potential that it may not go well. And I think that that's part of the reason why President Trump decided to have, I guess you could call it a caucus, if you will, where he went out and he was campaigning really for the midterms and trying to get everybody on the same page. So if you're seeing this across the networks, the only thing I can assume, well, I know what happens when people assume, but I hope that I'm right in this assumption, that it's only going to be beneficial for the Republicans.
In the meantime, as I mentioned earlier, the Democrats seemed, a bunch of them, 71 didn't show up or 72 didn't show up. A bunch of them held their own event during the time. What does that tell you?
Again, they're trying to control a narrative. They're trying to hold on to their constituents in whatever way they can, and they like to be in echo chambers. Ignorance is bliss, as they say, and too many people in this nation have been ignorant for far too long. We just began really with Nick Shirley going to Minnesota and uncovering all this fraud, and apparently now they're turning over to California, and that's going to be quite exciting. I can't wait to hear what Gavin Newsom has to say for all these explanations, because at this point, I think it's very original with how he explains them. There's always some kind of reason for it, as opposed to simply turning around and saying, "Yes, I'm corrupt," but that's beside you. That's beside the point.
Yeah. Let me change directions with you just for a moment.
Sure.
What's your opinion of what's going on in Cuba?
Well, as somebody who's of Cuban heritage, I think that this is something that's been long overdue. I think that if we're really going to adhere to the Monroe Doctrine, we shouldn't have any other forms of influence, whether that's ideology, armament, or really political alliances with anything in Latin America. Considering that the Caribbean is really part of North America, it's only a matter of time that the largest island in the Caribbean would hopefully get rid of this dictatorship and this communist leadership, which is only going to hurt Western ideals. It just shouldn't exist. If it's in the Western Hemisphere, there should be nothing communist. Which, of course, now that means we'll have to get rid of Canada and the drug cartels along the way. But Latin America is changing, and I think that President Trump and certainly Secretary of State Marco Rubio are doing everything they can to reform and reforge, if you will, the Americas in pro-American ideals. The parade, by the way, if you thought it was big with the Venezuelans, it will be 10 times as big in Miami with all the Cubans if Cuba falls. Just want to let you know that.
Right. So currently their economy is falling apart. Things don't seem to be very stable there, and it's really a bad situation. How bad is it for the average citizen there right now?
It's already pretty bad. I mean, if I can give you personal testimony, if you'll accept that. I had an aunt of mine who had cancer. Everybody talks about how wonderful Cuba's medical system is. But she died because they gave her a morphine overdose because they couldn't take care of the cancer. It was very small when they found it, but they lacked the proper equipment and supplies. And, it basically ate her alive, and they gave her a morphine overdose because there was nothing they could do for her. And the entire time she was in the hospital, she had one simple IV drip and was living on a cot. And that's where she was sleeping. And she suffered that for about 3 months. So the conditions are already pretty bad. The only thing they can do is go up from here. And sometimes you have to break it in order to reforge it into something much better.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Will it collapse, and will they become part of America in some way, whether a territory? What you're thinking?
I would like to think that it would certainly become a territory. I think that's probably the stablest thing to happen really with Cuba. You're talking about 67 years of a broken system, failed system, where people have been not only indoctrinated to follow communism, which I think there's been a very brave resistance, given the fact that it's an isolated island and there are no resources, there are no guns, nothing for anyone to really rebel with except for rocks. But I think that having it be anything less than a U.S. territory would ultimately be a shortfall of the United States. I think that is probably the most logical step for Cuba until, perhaps it can prove to be its own sovereign state. But you're talking about 67 years of a failed system and a way of thinking, people having to steal from each other and barter and do all these things in order to just survive. And I just don't see any other way other than for it to become a U.S. territory.
How would you describe the faith community over there, Catholics and evangelicals and others?
I would say that it has to be as strong as it can possibly be, considering that it's outlawed. I mean, the Catholic Church was probably the first thing that Castro attacked, which, everyone knows that communists go after faith and family. It's always the first thing that they attack. So for what it is underground, it must be much stronger than what it is above ground. But the Catholic Church was really only allowed to operate, I believe, in the last 10 years or 15 years. And actually the Knights of Columbus, of which I'm a part of, was only allowed to reopen a chapter 3 years ago. So that's a major step forward. So faith is something that people have had to cling on to because they have nothing else.
If you were to give it a timeline, David, how much longer do you think it'll survive?
I'd have to say anywhere between 8 to 10 weeks. Not the best.
Wow.
At the latest, probably 6 months. But I'm hoping for 8 to 10 weeks.
I don't want to spend too much time here, but other than it collapsing on its own and possibly America getting involved and bringing in the aid that is so desperately needed, are there any other outlying threats that you're aware of that would like to come in and take over?
The real question is whether or not they can. You would think that China and Russia would want to have a hand, and in Russia especially, given the fact that Cuba used to have very strong ties to Russia and still does. But it just doesn't make sense. I mean, Putin and Russia have their hands tied with everything that's going on in Ukraine. And when you look at China, now that we've done what we've done in Venezuela, and they're now pumping the oil to China, the question is, can they sustain something? Trying to sustain something in America's backyard is very dangerous. We have the strongest military in the world, the best generals, the most diehard president that we could ask for. And I just don't see that being a smart long-term move by them, except to agitate our force. And so therefore, I don't think that it makes any sense for them to go into Cuba, because Cuba is not the resource-heavy nation that Venezuela is. Venezuela has a lot more than just petroleum, right? The largest petroleum reserves in the world are in Venezuela, but they have cobalt, they have copper, they have gold, they have all these rare earth minerals, so many different things that Cuba doesn't really have to offer in the same quantity. So it makes perfect sense, to basically leave it alone, because that's what they did with Venezuela.
Okay. All right. Let me take a break. Again, David Cancio is with us. Where to get your books online? Do you have a website?
Yes. I do. You can go on to GabrielLocke.net. And then actually my father and my co-author, he and I actually began our own publishing company called Asturian Book Company. So if anyone wants to look that up, you can just go to AsturianBC.com.
Okay. We'll talk about that when we come back. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Heavenly Father, I just want to say thank you today I don't want to pray just when I need something or when things aren't going my way. I need you all the time, no matter what is going on, and I just want to say thank you. Even though things aren't perfect, you are, and your plan for me is. Thank you for your grace, for your mercy, for your unconditional love for me, and most of all, thank you for sending your son Jesus to die for my sins to prove that unconditional love, that even while I was a sinner, he died for me. Thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Twin Factor is brought to you on the Dove TV by Black Flag Armory. Firearms, gunsmithing, training, and the best prices in Southern Oregon. Twin Factor, weekends on the Dove TV.
It was an amazing year of growth here at the Dove. You, our viewers and partners, blessed us with a new studio, a video wall, control room, and much needed installation, heating and air conditioning. Plus, you helped us renew our tower leases so we can continue to broadcast the Dove all across our network. And from everyone here at the Dove, a huge thank you. We could have never done this without your help. We appreciate you standing with the Dove prayerfully and financially to keep the Dove encouraging and informative 24 hours a day. Welcome back, and David Cancio is with us. He's a conservative columnist, Cuban-American commentator, co-author of a series of books called the Gabriel Locke book series. We'll talk to him about that, and we have a lot to. He also writes on the culture, politics, faith, and we're honored to have him. There's a picture of the cover of the book on the screen there, and you can check that one out. The latest one is called Gabriel Locke and then Bound by Fate. So, David, good to see you. Tell us about this book series. How did this come about?
Oh, goodness. This book series began as a way to make up for lost time. So my father is a practicing attorney. He's been practicing in the state of Florida for nearly 48 years. Yes, he's 72, still kicking and still thriving. But for a long time, I was living in North Carolina. I went to North Carolina State University, graduated, got a job there, and decided to stay. And so, with him being an attorney and obviously having his practice and me living in a different state, we thought, we'd like to have a project really to make up for lost time. And so that's how this began. And basically, it's a 7-book series. It covers Miami in the 1980s, which if you're familiar with Miami in the 80s, there's a lot of overlap between what happened in Miami in the 80s and what happened and what has been happening over the last 8 to 10 years in this country. Everything from the cocaine that used to flow into Miami to the fentanyl that's flowing in through the border, all these people coming into the nation, the unstable Central American countries in the 80s, and unstable, basically Mexico, Caribbean, and Latin America that we've experienced in the last 6 years. So there's a tremendous amount of overlap. And, it was really a pleasure to be able to work on this with my father. And that's how we got it started.
Okay, so what do you want people to get from this?
That the United States is a really beautiful country, that if we adhere to the values that our founding fathers had for us, we can make a tremendous nation even better. And there is no doubt about it. What we demonstrate in the Gabriel Locke series is that, you can be from any background, but if you have the United States really as your main nation and you adhere to the American creed, you can have an incredible life here. And that is demonstrated by the clients that Gabriel has as a young attorney practicing civil law in Miami. You see how really the salt of the earth people that were not a part of the Miami Vice life, trying to make a living for themselves and try very hard to get by in this country, starting either from nothing or with limited resources. And mind you, not all of his clients are, immigrants from other places. Many of them are many generations of Americans that have already been here. But you see this complex and beautiful group of people that are his clients that ultimately live, in Miami and are trying everything they can to be very good Americans. And Gabriel is really caught between their personal stories being the shield that defends them really in their way of life against those that would seek to hurt them. And it's really a wonderful thing to be able to have done this with my dad, inspired by his career.
Beautiful, beautiful. It's noticeable at times when you have people who come from other countries into the United States legally and assimilate in, they have a higher regard for what America is, in some cases higher than even Americans who were raised here. You seem to understand and appreciate something that maybe we have taken for granted. Have you sensed that?
Yeah, I believe so. And I think that, you don't really know what you have until you lose it. I've traveled extensively throughout my life. I've been to Spain 7 times. I've been to Germany, England, France. I've been to Central America. I've been to a number of different places. And what I can tell you is that, every country has their beautiful things, of course. Sometimes it's just the culture, the food. It could be, distinct locations, etc. But there's really nothing like the United States of America, from the sand hills to the Tidewater in North Carolina, from the Pacific Coast Highway all the way to the Pacific Northwest, the Great Lakes. I mean, the beautiful state that is Texas. I mean, just so many different things. I've been to 28 states in this country, and I've been very blessed to be able to spend time and drive all over this country. And I can tell you that there is no place like the great US of A. And I absolutely love everything about this nation. And I just don't know how anyone can hate it. I can understand having a dispute about the cost of medical premiums, or the cost of your medications, or maybe problems with insurance, et cetera, which, by the way, every country has them. But I just don't know how anyone can't love this country. The tremendous opportunity that we're afforded is just unbelievable. And I can't think of living anywhere else. I love to visit other places, but there's no place like the USA at all.
No, I get that.
Absolutely not.
How big is the Cuban American community there in Miami?
Well, it's still very large, but it's not perhaps as dominant as it was really in the 90s. Other groups have moved in. Venezuelans have moved in. Brazilians have moved in. Colombians have moved in. And I say that because, that's what they were when they came here before they became naturalized citizens, right? But just explaining those kinds of groups. Then you also have the Nicaraguans that had come in really in the 80s and in the 90s. But I would say that of the Hispanic population, Cubans probably make anywhere between 30 and 45% still. So it's still very large, but it's not as dominant as it was in the early 90s and certainly in the 80s.
If this is a big question, it's hypothetical, but if America was to make Cuba a territory, do you think the Cuban Americans would maybe go back and try to help rebuild the country?
I think a lot of them would do it out of obligation. My grandfather, may he rest in peace, was a man that had served in the Cuban military, had served this country as well. He wasn't officially a part of the military, but he was an asset with different intelligence agencies. And he did everything he could to stop the spread of communism. And without a doubt, I think that many Cubans, especially those that are only here for a couple of years, or have only been here, for a couple of years, or have deep resources here that would want to help rebuild, I think without a doubt they certainly would lend any hand that they could to rebuild that nation.
Wouldn't that be the key element in restoring that country?
I can't imagine it would be anything else. I think there's a lot to be said about Secretary of State Marco Rubio. I think he's going to have a tremendous hand in trying to rebuild Cuba into what it was. There's no doubt about it. I mean, the United States of America and Cuba had a tremendous relationship before Castro came in, and everybody used to love to go down to Cuba and have a great time. And Cuba was a very advanced nation. It was the first nation ever to have air conditioning in a public hotel, ever. And that's saying something, because it's really hot in Havana.
Yeah. Well, those were the days. I mean, those were the days. And I'm just wondering if the citizens, the younger generations there, they are trapped in that environment. Do they want America to come in?
I think without a doubt they do. I have a cousin of mine who came over to this nation a couple of years ago. He was, let's say he was being pursued by their secret police. I had to help him with really his testimony for his asylum case. And what I can tell you is that what he experienced and how he got here was terrifying. And I think that without a doubt, most Cubans, especially those that already have family in the United States, just like obviously we've been here for quite some time, and my cousin obviously is my cousin.
Yeah.
But I would say that for the case of many of them, they certainly would want the United States to have an active hand in rebuilding the nation.
Well, if it happens, which I hope it does, I would like to see Cuba well, the Monroe Doctrine alone would be a reason for us to bring Cuba in and get it back to where it was in the 50s or so, where we came and went. And it would also stop the president from putting tariffs on Cuban cigars.
Yeah, I would say that for most Americans, that seems to be the number one right now, without a doubt. I think that would be the next logical step.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
One other quick question before I let you go, David. When Venezuela the leadership was taken out and the oil ship stopped coming from Venezuela to Cuba, what was the reaction in Cuba with that?
I'm sorry, it cut off slightly. Would you mind repeating yourself?
No, no, that's okay. Your pizza's ready again. When Venezuela went down, when we captured the leader out of Venezuela, and the ships, the oil tankers that stopped going from Venezuela to Cuba, which is a huge part of their economy, that's taken away now. What did the citizens think about that whole event?
To be honest with you, I can't really give an answer to that because I'm not 100% sure. I didn't have my ear close enough to the ground when that happened. I have quite a few friends that are Venezuelan. They were rejoicing over the capture of Maduro, and they were talking to me obviously about what they had experienced, which, that experience was so similar to what really my family and many other Cuban families had experienced. But I can't say for what the citizenry would have thought in Cuba, and I apologize for that.
Oh, no worries. Okay. Hey, good to have you. Let me say to our viewers and listeners, check out the Gabriel Locke book series. And again, where can they get those? Online, but what's your website again?
It's GabrielLocke.net, and then my publishing company is AsturianBC.com.
So check out GabrielLocke.net, and of course the book series, which is 7 books, Gabriel Locke book series. Nice to see you, David. Thanks for your time. God bless you, friend.
Thank you for having me, and God bless you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Burgers, salads, sandwiches, barbecue platters, sides, and more. Smoked, grilled, and served to perfection. Sweet Tea Express. Breakfast, burgers, and barbecue.
Hi, I'm the SOS Alarm guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
You feel most alive where you feel most at home. And this is living. Bobcat, the company that changed the way the world works, is coming home with a quality compact tractor built to match your quality of life. This isn't work you have to do. It's work you get to do. So get it done in a tractor that's all you. See your dealer or visit bobcat.com.
The Lennox iComfort S30 thermostat can sense changes in your environment. It even knows when you come and go. So now your home's most important system is also the smartest.
Metal Masters can give you the smartest home comfort system available. It knows when you're away and adjusts when allergens and humidity get uncomfortable. Trust Metal Masters to provide perfect air for your family.
Lennox, air is life. Make it perfect. The Dove is shining with a brand new show, Season to Shine.
I'm Melinda Robertson, host of Season to Shine, a new heartfelt, inspiring program for women designed to bring encouragement, wisdom, and hope into your everyday life. We'll help you discover God's purpose in every season, empowering you to shine with confidence, faith, and joy. It's your season to shine. Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at 4 p.m. on the Dove TV. More at thedove.us.
Well, welcome back, and perfect timing when we have time to sit down with our good friend Dan Perkins. He's a political commentator, host of What's on My Mind podcast. He's also a writer, author of historical romance novels entitled Sad Eyes. There's a picture of the cover of the book on the screen. A couple places that you can connect with Dan, danperkins.guru. And he has a wonderful outreach to veterans called songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us is the website, where he provides these veterans with an amazing instrument to help them calm down and deal with PTSD. So support him, songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Brother Dan, good to see you.
Good morning, sir.
Hey, I got the name of your new podcast.
Which one's that?
Well, the new one that you're going to start that I'm about to tell you to start.
Okay. All right, I'm listening.
Are you ready? Here it is.
Yep.
What's Perkin' with Dan?
Oh, okay. I'll think about that.
That's your new podcast title. What's Perkin' with
Dan? You won't even charge me for that, right? You give it to me for free?
If it's any good, I'll put you on the network. But if it's not, I'll have to wait.
Okay.
Anyway, what's Perkin' with Dan? That's the title of your new show or your new podcast. How about that?
I watched both the president's speech and the Democratic response.
Wow.
I thought he did a masterful job. And there were lots of highlights, the Congressional Medal of Honors to the senior veteran and to the new, obviously disabled warrant officer who flew the Chinook helicopter in capturing the leader of Venezuela. The hockey team was a great hit. All the people that they introduced from the gallery were just wonderful things for him to do. However, I watched it because I was looking for a soundbite. I was looking for a picture, something that the Republicans could use effectively in the fall campaign. And since I want to be accurate, I'm going to read you exactly what was said. Trump asked lawmakers in the chamber to stand if they believed in the fundamental principle that the first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens, end quote.
Right.
To me, that was the scene of the evening when the camera panned and all the Democrats were sitting on their hands. It's going to be very difficult for them to defend themselves against that image. And if I were a Republican in charge of the campaign, I would run that into the ground. Because while there are other things that can be said that were appropriate during the State of the Union, that particular seminal moment of where he put the Democratic Party in a corner and nailed the door shut to the room because they were not going to get out.
I couldn't agree more with you because to me it was the deciding moment. It was a shock to see that they couldn't stand on that. To your point, that is going to be the selling moment. The interesting thing about that, some further commentary, the president, not only from that moment, throughout the evening, really was trolling the Ds into complete hysteria and anger, knowing that today they're going to go to their media outreach sources and explode. And I think that's exactly what he hopes that they will do, because the image of that is not sellable.
Right. I think there are many clips that could be used by the Republicans if they'll stand up and do it. But I do want to make a quick comment about Spanberger, the newly elected governor of Virginia. And I want to point out to your listeners and viewers, there was one thing missing in her entire commentary. She didn't have a solution to her problem. She made no suggestion whatsoever about how to deal with the rising prices. And I don't know who said it, Perry. I wish I could remember so I could give that person credit. but he made the comment is that Democrats are notorious for creating the problem and then trying to come in and rescue the country from the problem that they created. What Trump clearly pointed out last night is that Joe Biden and his administration was responsible for inflation and prices and on and on and on. And his job was to come in and clean up the mess, which he's been trying to do. She had an opportunity, but because they don't have a message that can America can get a hold of, because there are no suggestions, it's all rhetoric, it's all show, and no.
Well, to your point and to the president's point, this has been the primary goal of the Democrats, the left, the liberals, progressives, whatever name you want to give them. It's called the victim, villain, savior syndrome. They turn you into a victim. They blame the other party as being the villain, and then they turn around and call themselves the savior, when in fact they actually caused the problem. The president last night clearly pointed that out, that we're in this mess because you guys gave it to us. The question is, will that resonate? I don't know.
I don't know either. But I do think that things are working in the favor of the Republican Party. But the big thing that concerns me is the number of Republicans in the House who have decided not to run for re-election. I think it's approaching 40. That's a lot of seats to try and hold, and it's a lot of seats for the Democrats to go after. So I think that's a concern. So their message has to be on point, and it has to be very strong, and it has to be resonant across the country. But it's absolutely true. The Democrats got this in this mess. Who caused the price of beef to go up? It wasn't Donald Trump. It was Joe Biden and his limitations that drove up the cost of beef and chicken and fish and eggs and bread and gasoline and housing and everything else. It's the fact of the trillions of dollars that we spent that we didn't need to, that raised our deficit to $38 trillion, and we've done nothing. I think an important message that came out last night also, just real quick, he talked about the jobs number and that all of the jobs were in the private sector. In fact, they laid off 250,000 government employees in the first year of his term. So I think that we've got a communications challenge. I think the Democrats have an even bigger challenge is they don't know who their messenger is going to be. And what is the message?
Good point. I talked to Tom Del Caro, who I've had on the program quite a bit. He's the former Republican chair of California, and he and I have a lot in common because he was chair of California, I was chairman of Oregon. And he made mention that the Democrats in California had their convention. They have 14 people running for the Democratic nomination for governor, and nobody came out of the convention as a winner.
Right. There's another important piece to that story, very important piece. Gallup did a poll of Democratic voters. Now, your audience may not be aware of this, but California has what is called a jungle primary.
Yes, right.
Those 14 people on the Democratic side, plus whoever is the Republicans, all run in the same primary, and the top two vote getters fight it out to become governor.
Right. Yeah, it's a crazy.
What the Gallup poll showed of the Republican or the Democratic leadership and voters is they're afraid the two Republicans are going to wind up at the top, and it's going to be Republican versus Republican because the Democratic leadership in the state of California, including the governor and the state legislature, have literally destroyed their relationship with the voter in California.
Yeah. By the way, that's the result of open primaries.
Right.
That's why you don't want to do that. Okay, let me switch your attention. Kind of interesting, the fallout from the speech last night. We'll just see how that all plays out. In the meantime, 48-hour period now between us and Iran talking, negotiating, all this. Our military buildup is significant. The position of the military has been shifted, which is a clear indication something's about to happen. I guess the big question is, do you think an attack on Iran is inevitable?
That's a good question because my co-host on my Tuesday show is in London. He is an Iranian expert. He is an Iraqi refugee that's been in London for over 10 years. He said that he felt that Donald Trump would attack with Israel, Iran by the end of the month. And he was willing to bet $100, and I took the bet. I said, I don't think that Mr. Trump is ready to go. But I think there's something very important. We have two aircraft carrier groups. And if you look at their relative positions of where they're positioned right now, if those two carrier groups were going to be in effect, Iran's got a problem. They don't have enough air force or armaments to protect two attacks. One of these aircraft carriers will, I think, whatever they're going to do, will do it in the north, and the other one will do it through the Straits of Hormuz to deal with the Iranian south. So the government is going to find that their resources are going to be rapidly split in two, which makes them extremely vulnerable. So the addition of the Gerald Ford, and by the way, have you seen a picture of the Gerald Ford aircraft carrier?
No, not lately.
You should look at it because it's scary as hell. It looks like it's a city block long in terms of a New York City block long on the carrier deck. It's just like it goes on forever and ever. It's huge and very intimidating. So I think he would like to give diplomacy as much a chance as possible, but I don't think it's going to be war with Iran. I think it's going to be seriously devastating surgical strikes.
Okay, well, we're probably within your bet's by the end of the month. That's only about 3 or 4 more days.
That's right. I could win it.
Okay, and then the other ones are saying, well, it will be in early March, so we'll have to wait and see. But it looks like there will be some kind of an attack. And, of course, Israel said they're ready because they're smart enough to know that when America attacks Iran, the retaliation will be against Israel first. So apparently,
sure. And part of the attack issue, Perry, is that we're dealing with a country that is trying to, from the ashes of the destruction of the bombing, figure out how they can restart their nuclear program, and they're developing a biological and chemical weapons and delivery systems to do that, while they're trying to say that they want peace. I mean, I don't want to sound prejudiced. I just want to be factual. Under the Sharia law, when a Muslim is negotiating with an infidel, meaning somebody who's not a Muslim, they are perfectly permitted to lie, cheat, and steal, do anything they want to do to get what they want, but they don't have to be obligated to any commitment they make. And that's what the president's dealing with. He knows that. He knows that if we get a concession, there has to be regime change in addition to the concession, or it's never going to work.
Okay, to that end, Iran's leadership will never give up missiles or nukes. So what's the point of this diplomacy?
Well, I think that Donald Trump would like to be known when he leaves office as a peacemaker as opposed to a warmonger. And he was careful to point out all the settlements that he's had in disputes of the 8 wars that he stopped. I don't think he necessarily wants to go in and have a war with Iran because there's 1.8 billion Muslims throughout the world. and it could be a very ugly global retaliation against the United States, Israel, and probably Europe and their forces. So it's really, I understand your question, and it's a valid question. Why don't we just get it over with? Let's just go do it. And I raised that question some time ago. That's why I took the bet, because I think he will continually try to find a way to stop all-out warfare, but Iran may just push him into it, and he has no other choice.
Yeah. All right, let me take a quick break. Check out Dan's website, danperkins.guru. Also, check out his books online, Sad Eyes. There's a picture of the cover of the book. We'll be right back.
The Pregnancy Center in Medford is a place of hope, providing free pregnancy testing, ultrasounds, options counseling, and support to help women make informed, empowered choices. The Pregnancy Center is growing, hiring registered nurses to join our compassionate team. Work in a supportive environment where you can truly make a difference. No ultrasound experience? No problem. We'll train you in limited ultrasonography, a valuable new skill set for your career. To learn more, visit thepregnancycenter.us. Thepregnancycenter.us.
Wednesday. Worship leader Lizzie Morgan under attack.
Where God has gifted me is also where the enemy will attack.
And ready to battle.
There are some things that you just have to fight. And I love a good fight because I know who's fighting with me.
Her greatest weapon.
And you can use it. You don't have to be able to sing to use it.
Watch the 700 Club Wednesday morning at 11 on the Dove TV.
What an amazing year of growth last year for the Dove. You, our viewers and partners, blessed us with a new studio, a video wall to create sets for new local programming, a state-of-the-art control room, and much-needed insulation, along with heating and air conditioning. Plus, you helped us renew many tower leases, so we can continue to bring you the Dove all across our network and a brand new full-power TV station. And from everyone here at the Dove, a huge thank you. We could have never done this without you. Your prayers and support is allowing the Dove to bring the gospel, encouragement, and information to millions more people needing the hope of Christ worldwide. We appreciate you standing with the Dove prayerfully and financially in our mission to reach people with the good news via television, radio, and streaming online. Thank you for your continued faithful support in keeping the Dove encouraging and informative 24 hours a day.
The Dove TV streams worldwide on Roku and Apple TV, plus online at thedove.us.
Welcome back. Dan Perkins is back with us. He's one of our good guests. We always honored when he has time to give it to us. He's a political commentator, host of What's on My Mind podcast. He's going to do a podcast number 2, What's Perkin' with Dan. And then he also is the author of Sad Eyes. All right. Hey, Dan, he did mention last night the disappointment with the Supreme Court's decision on tariffs. It was immediately met with another interpretation of the statutes where he could continue on with these tariffs under a different statute.
Right.
In the meantime, the stock market didn't seem to be upset with this. The world didn't seem to be upset with this. He said it right there with the Supreme Court looking at him. You got to give him credit for being pretty bold about that. What's your take on that whole scenario?
Yes. I want to take that particular issue and broaden it out just a little bit. He wasn't afraid to go after the court and tell them he thought that their decision was wrong. He also went after the Democratic Party, and he did it this way. He did it by using other people, plain, ordinary, regular Americans, as the example. For example, when the Democrats are saying that he is against in vitro fertilization, what did he have last night in the gallery? A woman to deal with it. When you want to talk about transgender and forcing children to become what they aren't, he did it through an individual. So he took ordinary American people and made them the focal point of the story, of the message. We can't do this, we can't do that, we shouldn't do that, so on. So he used that effectively. And in the speech, he was talking about the role, as I just quoted in the beginning of this interview, the role of the government is to protect the American citizens, not aliens, not illegals. And so what he did last night was talked about all the things that indirectly the Democrats have been saying that they're for, and he destroyed all of them. So very powerful. And so that what you're asking is just part of that routine that he had of going after the Democrats' agenda, pick them off one at a time.
Excuse me. During the Biden administration, the Supreme Court told the president that he couldn't forgive student loans. He did it anyway.
Right.
Recently, the Supreme Court told these rogue federal district judges that they couldn't do these charges against the president on a national scale. They continue to do it. And so now the Supreme Court said you can't use tariffs, and he's continuing to do it. Are we in some kind of a judicial Supreme Court crisis?
We're in a possibly Supreme Court, but you're on to something, and I believe this to be true. We had a situation last week where the California legislature passed a law prohibiting transgender surgeries on children, and there was a court case where a doctor, surgeon, lost the court case for $2 million. Then we had the AMA and the plastic surgeons come out and said we should not do any of these procedures, both surgical and medical, to children under 19. But we had a federal district court in California that ordered a hospital who refused to do the procedure because they were complying with California law. That court ordered the hospital to do the surgery. We've got a problem where the court system is collapsing because it's not only that they don't have any respect for the president and what he wants to do, they don't have respect for each other. And so you've got this conflict between the Supreme Court and the district courts who are legislating from the bench, which is what the Democrats did all the time. But now we have the district courts legislating, the Supreme Court having to go into emergency session to try and judge all these things. We have a conflict between the federal Supreme Court and the federal district courts.
Okay, but the bottom line here, the message is coming out. What's a court decision? Do what you want to do.
Yeah, because let me ask you this question. If you're the president of the United States and you put out an order and somebody doesn't follow the order, you've got the military, you got the U.S. Marshals behind you, plus the FBI and the Justice Department. If the Supreme Court, in the case of the student loan situation, the Supreme Court said you can't do it, and Biden said, I don't care, I'm going to do it anyway. What are the enforcement powers that the Supreme Court has to enforce the law?
Yes.
One, they can send a notice to the Attorney General of a violation and ask the Attorney General to bring the U.S. Marshals to enforce the rule of the court. Problem is, Barry, the U.S. Marshals report to the executive branch of the government. So they have no real enforcement powers at all, only their reputation.
Yeah, that's kind of my point. So I don't know where this is leading, but it's setting a bad precedence, I'll tell you that.
No question, no question. And the idea that we're spending so much time, energy, and effort with all of these cases against what the president is trying to do, which he's allowed to do under executive orders. And you're right, the Supreme Court, the big court, the big guys said you can't do that, and they said, hell with you, we're going to do it anyway. And so the only person, the Supreme Court cannot impeach a federal district court judge. Only the Congress can do that. So they have no power over the district judges, per se.
Do you think we got into this tariff mess with the Supreme Court because Congress was lazy and didn't do their job?
Oh, you could say that about a lot of things. that Congress was lazy.
I don't know if it's lazy.
I think so. I'm sorry. Say that again.
No. The point is, if tariffs were to be handled correctly, it should have been dealt with through the Congress. The president didn't go there, and the Congress didn't make him go there. So it got appealed to the Supreme Court. That's the mess we're in.
Right.
So Congress is almost impotent in this.
Yes. And you're raising a very interesting point, because let's say, for conversation's sake, not that I'm predicting that it's going to happen, because I don't, but let's suppose that we have a split Congress as a result of the midterms. The Republicans either not only have the existing relationship or more Senate seats, and they lose control of the House. Now, what are the Democrats going to do when they have control of the House? Because when the Democrats pass legislation, it has to go to John Thune in the Senate to decide whether it's ever going to come to the floor. And he can't stop it from ever getting to the floor on his own behalf. So, and even if he put it on the floor and it was voted on, you've got a president who could veto it. If he vetoes it, I don't think that the Democrats are going to win a 2/3 majority of the House to override the presidential veto. But I also think that it can't get 2/3 of the Senate to override a veto. So what are Democrats going to gain if they gain control of the House?
Impeach.
But they can't impeach it because the Senate will never take the bill up, period. It'll never get to the floor.
Yeah, I hear you. Gosh, I'm almost out of time. So one quick question. We've got about a minute and a half here. The president is going to barnstorm the country during this midterm season. He's announced it, and he's already showing that he's going to do it. Will that increase?
Right.
Will that increase Trump fatigue?
I think anybody who was depending upon how frequently he goes and how far he flies will have an impact. But I think hopefully he will manage himself that he can keep his energy level high. But I think him taking this story and his message to the American people, along with people that he's endorsing to run for Congress, I think will make the difference. And I think James Carville, who was not very pleasant yesterday in his discussion about the president, may have to eat his own words.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering, at the end of the day, that the president may purposely be angering the left so they just go ballistic, and at the end of the day, nobody likes that. You know.
Right. No, I think that's a possible strategy. Yeah. Plus, one other thing, what he has that I don't think any other president that I'm aware of in history has, he has a phenomenal cabinet.
Yeah.
He can put Marco out on the trail. He can put Vance on the trail.
Yeah.
He can put the Secretary of the Treasury. He can put all of these cabinet officers on the trail to tell his story, the story to the American people.
I got to go.
And generate, I know.
All right, DanPerkins.guru. Watch for What's Perkin' with Dan coming to someplace near you. See you, man.
Thank you, sir.
It was an amazing year of growth here at the Dove. You, our viewers and partners, blessed us with a new studio, a video wall, control room, and much needed installation, heating and air conditioning. Plus, you helped us renew our tower leases so we can continue to broadcast the Dove all across our network. And from everyone here at the Dove, a huge thank you. We could have never done this without your help. We appreciate you standing with